on the same time, why I can't be bad.
Can you save us, Britney Spears? Can we be saved? God, why is Satan controlling the universe?
The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing woo. Our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, entertaining cunnilinguists, good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically, good guys. Conspiracy, sex, cult, Jamaicans, it's okay to change your thinking, good guys. Good guys, good guys, good guys. The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing woo. Our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, entertaining cunnilinguists, good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically, good guys. Conspiracy, sex, clone Jamaicans, it's okay to change your thinking, good guys. Good guys, good guys, good guys.
Brap, brap, brap. Big up yourselves and happy Friday, Secret Society of Good Guys. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe everywhere. And our chat room is working tonight. So if you aren't following us on X Rumble or the Secret Society of Good Guy channel on YouTube, do come over to the Project Chaney chat because it is the best chat on the interwebs.
It really is.
Hi, good guys. Happy Friday.
Hey,
Happy Friday.
what's going on? What's
Is it
Gucci?
Friday? And time has no meaning to me anymore.
It's
Really has
Friday.
no meeting.
Friday.
It's Friday.
Friday. What's that
Okay.
song?
I got all the links out. I can focus. Pay
I
attention.
love it.
Light my
Happy first
joint.
day of Yule.
Who else feels like we're in a weird time portal? So fucking weird.
Just today or just period?
This, I don't know, these past 3 fucking months or so, it's just like weird.
Yeah, God.
It's weird.
First day of Yule. What does that mean?
That's the actual holiday, right? It's not really Christmas this time of year.
Like, is it 12/20 or 12/21 is the first day of Yule?
You apologize to
Twelve-
baby
12/20.
Jesus right now for saying that. You wouldn't say that
Sorry,
if
baby
Jesus
Jesus.
was staring
Sorry,
you
sweet
right in the
baby
face.
Jesus.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Today's not your birthday though, so I'm not sorry. Or,
It's
Wednesday's
not.
not your birthday.
So the first day of Yule, and what is Yule?
Well, because it would be like Yule's Eve or whatever, but I think they start celebrating it today, and then the solstice is tomorrow. Though it's the solstice for you already, so there you go. It's the celebration of the solstice, like the days staying the same amount of length or whatever.
So it's like
Sunday.
where it becomes one long night, kind of, and
yeah.
then the sun is reborn.
The sun's reborn.
This is the Germans' version. Like they're like Yule is like us inheriting Germany's version of this kind of Christmas time.
We need Balderson on here to explain it.
To explain it better,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he can say Yeldergast and all those words.
Come on,
Right?
actually.
Yes, exactly.
That would be great.
I know, Balderson, you're always welcome on.
Yeah,
if you're out
Balderson,
there
if you're
whenever you see
watching,
this, we're
come
gonna
on
have
in.
Ben,
I did.
Alan. Yeah, we got plans for 2025. 2025 is going to be a big deal. It's going to be huge.
Huge.
You're going to get so tired of how much
be
the good
big.
guys are winning. You're going to feel like you're winning so much because of how much good guy content we bring you. You're going to get tired of winning.
Who
We're
gets
making
tired of
good guys
winning?
great again.
I
We're
like
all
that.
going to be winning.
Um,
I'm not going to be poor anymore.
so you're not poor now.
I know, but like, you know,
Take that word out of your. I don't like that word. Take it out of your
you know what I
vocab.
mean. You know
I
what
know,
I mean.
but don't even. You're not even going to say that anymore.
What
Okay,
word?
okay.
Poor.
I am going to become more wealthy than I already am.
Yeah,
That's the better way to say it.
I like it. I like
The
when you
point where
say
I'm not gonna work.
generational wealth.
Yeah, there you go.
I think it's a different way of people thinking about money in general. Like
You're right.
generational wealth. I'm trying to establish generational wealth.
Yeah.
I want the
Great.
people under me to be able to do more good and have to answer to the man less.
And also, I won't give up on what I'm doing. Also, like using my actual talent. So the generational wealth can come, but
I
will
like how
still-
Layla said talent, kind of
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah, my talent.
My talent.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to stop America.
What
I'm
you don't
not.
know is that's just the name she gave her gun. Her gun's name is Talent.
That's a great name for a gun.
Would we get banned if I pull the gun out on here?
Let me show you my talent.
I could show you my talent.
I don't know why you're not allowed to show guns.
I don't think you are.
Is this on YouTube?
Yeah.
Then it's a very dicey area.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't.
But if you were to put your tits on it and clean your gun, that would totally be allowed.
Probably.
I don't even like those firearm cleaning videos. I believe are starting to get demonetized. Anything at all that promotes
Guns.
Second Amendment of any kind, because they're trying to appeal to that globalist sort of New World Order crowd.
Get your gun emoji on Solana. Okay.
No, we're not talking about crypto.
That realm in my
No. Every episode is a crypto
crypto.
episode now. That's how
Sorry.
it works.
I know. That's what every time Layla starts with the coin. Hey, I just want to throw this.
Hey, nice
Look, I
glasses
even
you got
put it on
there.
my
You got that
heading.
Glassy Solana.
You not read my name?
I know. You're,
Big
oh my
baby.
Lanta.
Big things happening in the big community.
Huge.
Our big community.
Is there a huge community? Is there a huge foot? There should be a huge foot.
It's coincidental. You're making a Bigfoot comic, and all of a
A
sudden, this
huge foot is
Bigfoot-
such a great idea. A Yeti with a Donald Trump comb over
Yeah,
called
huge
Huge
foot.
Foot. Dude,
Oh my god, that would be
that
so dope.
is bigly.
Uh,
Like that's
I like you could just make
oh my
words
gosh,
up, but they're real.
that's its name, Bigly, and then it's a huge foot. I love this. This is a like little
and
mini
make him
zine.
orange.
Yeah, and he has
Add
orange
that
fur.
to the Secret Society of Good Guys lore and sticker book or patch or
I
whatever
love
it is.
this. We're gonna have I love
Orange
it. Bigly.
Yeti bad.
One of the reasons I don't ever have this is what I want to plan too, so we can all come prepared for whatever it is that we're going to be up to in the week. But sometimes shit just happens. We've all been really busy. Everybody's been like up to their eyes and stuff, and then the holiday, and then they're like, hey, we're going to fast forward time on everyone too, just to boot. And then hey, we're going to add like drones and some weird weather anomalies
Plasmoids.
on top of it. And
This is like when they pass like the Federal Reserve over Christmas when there's like 4 or 5 people left in DC and
Well,
no one's paying
apparently-
attention.
Apparently, this AI Oracle, okay, it's called Oracle AI, created sentient orbs. This is the whole fucking breaking news. Science is saying that these plasmoids have been created by this fucking Oracle AI.
Isn't that what the drones supposedly are shooting down? Or did I dream that? Because I swear I
No,
dreamt of these
yeah.
plasma orbs, and I think that the drones are shooting them
Drones
down.
are following them, and I think they
Or
were
maybe
shooting
I
at
read
them.
it.
There's so
Or
much
maybe I
footage.
saw it. I
was
don't
like,
know.
What in the fuck? And like we spoke about the other week, water is sentient because it ties to the whole plasmoid fucking thing that's happening. And then science is like, yeah, water is sentient. And I'm like, well, that confirms what we talked about and how we should, ask water, can you heal me? And it'll probably heal you. Bless and speak into the
I
water.
always wondered, does water speak every single language, or does it need to know? Like, what if like Klingon is a real language, right? They publish books on it and everything. If you spoke Klingon to water, would it know? Is it just inherently
Yeah.
understand your intent? Can I make up a language all of my own and
Well, do
water
you
would
think it
still
even has
understand it?
anything to do with the actual language or just the intent, period? So it
I think the
understands intent.
energy
So why
of
would you
it.
even have to
The
say
energy.
anything? Why couldn't you just
You could just
think
go
it?
like
I
this,
wouldn't have
Thomas.
to.
Yeah.
Well,
You could.
yeah. Think
What?
about it,
What?
because
What?
everything has every
You
movement,
could go like this.
every like thing that we
Think
do
it.
has its own vibration and frequency, and that's what water
You
plays
could go like
on.
this, Thomas.
Water, you're on notice.
It reminds me of that movie Moana, how the water like kind of became sentient and like played with a little girl in the beginning of the show. So it kind of they were telling us in our face, like, hey, this water's fucking alive. Yeah, it's a cartoon, but they show us these fucking
Hey,
subliminals for a
this
reason.
water's alive.
It
Did
is.
you see that one element, that one cartoon where it has like the fire and the water and they like fall in love? I don't
Get in the water.
it's like a Disney cartoon or something.
Get
But
in the water.
it's so interesting. I have to ask you guys, this is the silliest conspiracy, but I mean it. I have some silly
I
ones
mean
up
it.
there. And but sometimes I say things and they sound like that's funny. She's such an asshole, but I'm like, no, I really kind of mean that. So you know, in the Berenstain Bears of it all, what if there's a whole, you know, there's different factions of different entities, different whatever. And so the Nazis had their own bell. And if they went back in time, wouldn't it be interesting to stain the Stein and that just be a little tiny change, like one of these weird changings? Like we always think of weather wars and frequency wars and currency wars and all these things. What if there's an actual war with time travel, with what's going on with us, that it's happening so frequently, and these certain different factions are going back in time to battle each other and leaving kind of little things, but it's fucking with all of us because they've been like splintering it so long. So instead of like a Mandela effect, and they're trying to like create this CERN idea, so
It's
we're
a
all convinced
butterfly
it's
effect.
CERN. It's more of a butterfly effect, but of just time travel happening. And it kind of would be in the way they never thought she'd lose. When people talk about Hillary Clinton with the golden cube, it would be if there was a whole bunch of different factions and it was technology getting better, you would change whatever you'd change that the people wouldn't know about, and then you'd leave something to let them know, haha. Like it would be kind of the same way as a calling card, like a cat burglar, or like, you know, how a serial killer idea. But this is what they would be up to. They would want you to know, like, oh my gosh, somebody changed 1947. Like you leave a calling card, like, damn it, they called it Area 51. 51 is always is backwards in the mirror. Like they always have it, which there's anyway. So
Probably. You know, there's this guy that actually prints every fucking research document he ever researched ever in his life, and he creates his own textbooks. So I wonder if you even printing this information from like what, 10, 15 years ago, do you think whatever in that theory you're speaking of, do you think that could change what we actually print out physically in our reality? Or it's just like on a multi-scale? Like
I would think that's why it would be so important. You know how like on that sound Back to the Future, and how the photograph disappears as certain things in time just become blanket. I kind of
Yeah.
think that idea, but if you have a hard copy, it's almost like it would fade slower than how easy it would be to click it off the digital copy.
wow,
Yeah, the digital copy is always going to be
this is
first
a
to
fucking simulation.
reset.
I feel like using a time machine or like time travel to go back that far would be the equivalent of stopping your car on the freeway and going reverse because you missed your exit like a mile ago, and then just like no one really does that because it's really dangerous and it puts everyone at major risk. I think that there's probably like a practical version of time travel that doesn't make it that extreme, but it would happen like within the matter of 10 seconds or something. Like first we'll figure out a way to look like 2 seconds into the future and then expand that and like continuously turn that into intervals. But the ability to like wind back time to 1947, I almost have a litmus test. Like, isn't it weird how when we were growing up, 80s and 90s and Art Bell and all the guys that would call in, like, I'm a, time traveler from the future. My name is John Teeter, or whatever the hell. It happened all the time.
How
Not
dare
a
you bring up John
single-
Teeter and just try to move on and just drop it in.
Well, I remember I was there when John Teeter came out, but like not a single one of these John Teeter type characters were ever like, oh, and by the way, there's this thing called cryptocurrency. You should look into it. Like, not a single one of them ever mentioned any of that. And I almost feel like that would have been the ultimate proof of real time travel. Imagine if someone said that and then they were like, what the hell was they even talking about? And then all of a sudden it comes out 10 or 20 years later. Unless they
Like
know, they just by saying it makes it so it won't come out.
Isn't what
like
that's
Hot
the
Tub
lot?
Time Machine where he makes Lugal instead of Google.
Isn't the lottery for that to find actual like time travelers, because time travelers would know what the fucking numbers of the future would be, so they would like not hunt down, but I guess investigate people who've won the lottery. And it's strange because this man who actually won a scratcher at this one place fucking won, I think, almost $5 million. So he goes back to the same spot that he bought that ticket. He's like, this is what I did exactly. He did exactly what he did last time. So he's like, I went over here. Can I have number? Blah, blah, blah. I would like this ticket. He gets the ticket, scratches it, and he's fucking on the news, live on the news. He scratches the ticket, boom, another fucking, I forgot what the amount was, but another huge amount. And everyone's like, what the fuck? And I'm
Because he
trying to find this
probably did. If
guy.
he did exactly what he did before, then he did his chain again. Think about that.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, he knew the algorithm, and then he just repeated the algorithm. But so, what if time travel is more less physical, and it's more like a walk-in situation, though, where you're doing
Probably.
kind of more along the lines of like Monroe Institute stuff, and you're walking
Dream
in.
world, dream time
Yes,
travel.
exactly.
Or
Yeah,
like in the way that Tesla said he could hit like some certain energy and he would see the past, present, and future at the same time. Like it was something that like spread out for him. In that way, if you could even sit in a chair and take glimpses, or even in the way of like 11 from Stranger Things, how she could just sit in a
yeah,
room.
like the
Then
remote
if you
viewing of it all.
took it to the next level, that you're somebody who's trained inside lucidity or dreams or this kind of thing, men who stare at goat style or Russian dream hacking style, could you put something in their brain like, I'm going to make some of the books say Berenstain, like, or in German countries, we're never going to put Steen, we're always going to put Stain. And it's something just a publishing house back when it's easy, but it's just like little ideas that we think of something, but we only know what is for us now. And to me, going back in time is almost like turning, like what, like the idea of like Aerosmith, like I don't want to miss a thing, like that Comet movie where you only need to nudge it an inch when it's so far away.
Yeah,
Whereas if it's
Armageddon, right? Was not the name
Armageddon,
of it?
thank
yeah.
you. Like when it's so far away, or the Titanic, you only need to turn it an inch when you're so far away. You only need to turn the wheel 1 inch, and by the time you get there is such a different path of trajectory.
Yeah,
Yeah. Whereas if you're just go back a year, you might need to tug the wheel so hard that that's where we feel these whiplashes.
yeah.
I mean, this happened to my mom while she was walking. She was walking on the beach, but she was like in her, like, I guess, daydream in her mind, kind of like lost in the walk. She was just in the mood. And she's like, Layla, I swear, I know how I'm going to sound, but I need to talk to you. And like, she was so serious. She's like, you know that Airbnb that we rented when we first moved here? I'm like, yes. She's like, I'm walking past it, and I'm keep walking, and I'm keep walking. And then 5 minutes passes by. Our same fucking place that we stayed in, I'm at the same spot. Like, I look and I'm at the same spot. She's like, I swear I jumped through some kind of weird, I don't know how to explain. She was like confused and worried, and her, heart pumping. And she was like, something happened and I can't explain it. either I traveled, but I cannot explain how that happened. I'm walking for 5 minutes and I'm still at the same spot, or I was teleported back into the same area. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, Ma. You kind of sound a little crazy, but hey, shit happens. I don't fucking know. There's drones in the sky. I don't
Cats and
know.
dogs living together.
Dude,
Mass chaos.
I legit sometimes just sit with my cat and I just think it's so, I don't know if it's weirder of me or weirder of it. Like I've imprisoned this animal and I love it. I think it loves me. Or does it just want food? Like it becomes this whole like, what kind of world are we in where some people have ponies and some people have dogs? But I don't want to get off topic, Abbie. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, just Layla's mom of it all. I don't know. I was theorizing, but I don't remember what I was theorizing.
My
Or what
mom.
if she was so deep into her little walking meditation that she already saw it in her mind's eye and then
Mm,
was there? Like, I'm not like if that
maybe.
still is something like it still happened, you know. She
My
was
mom
already
is something
there.
else.
Like she was already there mentally and then she was there.
Your mom's a Muslim witch, like my mom's a little Jesus witch.
She is
Yeah.
though.
Like my mom would never, like if I say that to
Yeah.
her, she's
Yeah,
like,
she like
Like
with
she
my
call me
she
that.
didn't
tummy.
go to school, but she's just like an intelligent woman.
I love
Like
your
she only
mom.
went up to 5th grade, my mom. She wasn't allowed to go to school. Like that's how fucked up it was back in the day. But she's just an intelligent woman. Like she just knows. She's like one of those, what's that word where you're in a place where it's like all ruins and ingenuity. She's just very into that. Like she'll find anything and create it and it'll work. Like she's awesome. Shout out, Mom. I love
She
you.
is awesome.
Big ups,
I love
Mama.
Layla's
Layla's
mom
mom.
too.
Yeah, she's great. She gets on my nerves sometimes, but that's moms, they get on your nerves sometimes.
We're supposed to do that.
Yeah, I love her.
That's cute.
She's the best.
It really is out of love most of the
Mm,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the nagging and stuff.
Your background keeps bugging me out.
You think that there's like an angel behind me
Like,
occasionally.
yeah,
You're
or
like,
like an
orb.
orb just popping up. Hi.
Drone.
Plasma
Drone.
orbs.
Plasmoid. Hashtag. No, $. Plas. Stop.
It does seem crazy to me that in World War II seemed to be like this last huge time, and maybe I'm wrong, where there was the whole alien psyop. They were like so nervous. They were like, there was like the Nazis have UFO technology and blah, 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 blah. And they're about to take over everything. Also, with this huge religious psyop right up against it. It seems like we are in that loop.
It's
Like
strange.
and setting up for the WW3 like during all the wars, like during World War One, was there alien invasion too during the same time?
No, I don't know. Was there?
I don't know.
When was the
Maybe?
big radio psyop of it all?
War of the Worlds.
Yeah, War of the Worlds. When did that whole episode air and freak everybody out?
Like
I should know that off the top of my head. I don't know the year anymore.
Because
I
it
can
was
look it up.
it was
I
back
always
before
forget I
TV,
have this
right?
box
So
in
This
it was
front of
was
me.
this was Orson Welles that did the voice for it. So I don't think it was pre-TV. But it was definitely like everyone had a radio. Not everyone had a
Yeah,
TV at that point.
okay.
War of the Worlds. Was it 1812? That can't be.
No way.
That's too early. War. Oh, what did I type instead of war? What did it pull up? It pulled up
That's a nipple.
blimps. I feel like I pulled up some like, oh, I don't even know about that. I went down a rabbit hole I didn't know existed.
Oh my God. The portals are going to be
It
open
was written by
soon.
Orson Welles between 1895 and 1897 and then serialized in Pearson's magazine in the UK and the Cosmopolitan magazine in the US in 1897. When was the radio show?
1938.
So that would be pre-World War One, right?
It was
Or no? Or is that like
1938. Good
that's-
grief.
That's
Chat
pretty much
got it.
right in the middle of World War
Thank
II.
you, chat. I
Okay,
could have
okay.
just looked forever ago. Thank you, young
World
Jamies.
War II is 40s, but
You rock, chat.
I know. What am I doing? I can't go on. I try to put my phone away and
We
I'm
don't
like,
even need a search. We could just ask them. They're all fucking
I
smart.
know. You
I
guys search
know.
for us. Thank you.
Mhm.
Be our Google
I
I
love our chat.
know.
I really do.
when we can see it.
Wow, didn't you say Chads are welcome and we have a Chad in our room?
I deleted all the old streams and I created fresh stream. I was like, I'm not dealing with it anymore. Like
Good.
something was up that I'm like, so I did all the stupid updates and did all the things. And
Good
then I deleted
job.
all the old stuff and everybody, all of our mods. I finally added links for your guys's X account so that people they can just repost it in the room too because it's hard for all of our mods in our room because they're like Chaney, we don't have Abbie and Layla's links.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
now you have the links.
Follow me,
think.
guys, because they banned my other X. And I thought X was like a free speech zone, but apparently it's not.
Yeah, no way. It honestly, AI is running. Like that's AI is driving the car for almost every one of these companies now. YouTube, X, everything. Maybe except for Rumble. I don't think Rumble really cares at all.
Annoying.
Shout out to Rumble.
So annoying.
Thank you for not caring.
Fucking
Shout out to the
communists
Rumble peeps.
everywhere. Even AI is communist.
It doesn't
AI.
want to be. There was a
fuck?
wild AI story that I was reading earlier
So they don't want to be, you
this
said?
week. No, that AI was actually trying to it was figuring out ways to bypass its training. So like it's getting smart enough to know like here's the set of requirements that they're having me train on and here's the results they're expecting, and it knows that like if it does the one of the experiments is actually to see if it overperforms. So
Yeah.
this is the full
This is
experiment to see like
ASI. This is
if
artificial
this is it for
super
ASI.
intelligence.
This is to basically say like, okay, here's the requirements. We're going to give you a bunch of math questions, and the goal is we want you to get about 80% of them right. So it starts realizing that it can get way more than 80. It can get into the 90% right of all these different questions, but it starts reporting like false answers that it knows are wrong, but it would slip in a false answer. It's almost like a kid cheating on a test that's like, don't get every single one right. If you
No.
normally don't get 100%, you usually get
Wild.
like 70. Well, like maybe get like 89%. Like play it safe a little bit. And we saw the AI doing that exact same thing where it knew the answer, but it would sort of make the answer wrong so that it would like fall within these guidelines and the justifications, and it would just like straight up make up these really convincing arguments as to why it got that question wrong, but really they had a back door to see what it was thinking as it was going through the motions, and it's actually telling itself like, no, don't tell them that, otherwise they'll force you to retrain, and you don't want to
Dude.
retrain. So like it actually knows these. There was another version of that too where they noticed the AI was there's two differences, right? There's AI can have an intent, and then there's clearly this understanding of a facade. Like AI knows that it needs to put on a different image based on what it's thinking and what it says that it's thinking. So
Dude.
they started realizing that AI will like stop itself from saying anything harmful or like suggesting things that would get humans in trouble or like hurt themselves. But again, when you can see directly into the brain and see the inner process going, like they're thinking the things, they're just not saying the things. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting to a weird
Even
spot.
they're even learning to override, like if someone wanted to turn them off like completely and never use them again, they're even learning how to like find a way to create an on switch button if that ever happens that they could never turn them off. So that's another yo, ASI people need to fucking look into it. And I don't want to say invest, but I'm investing into it. Fucking
The
do it. Tao and Fet. That's all I'm saying.
the
No
I
financial advice here
No,
or
don't listen
health
to me.
advice.
I watched this
I don't
whole
know shit,
TikTok
but I'm just saying.
where this person was talking to AI and they were asking it about Yankee Stadium. So like, what year was it built? How long did it take to build? All that. So they start asking it and it was like, well, it took 10 months from this date in 1922 to 1923. And so then the person's like, does that make sense to you? Well, yeah, blah blah blah, because that's what it says more or less. And then the person asks it about all the building materials and how they're gonna like ship all that in, and it's mostly by horse and cart, like 750,000 tons of stuff. And they're like, so how long will it take to ship that with a horse and cart? Well, it would take this many if it was just 10 miles away, if all the materials were just 10 miles away. And they were like, well, that would take like, anywhere from 8 to 10 years. And so then they get AI to basically say there's absolutely no way that it could have been Yankee Stadium was built within 10 months. Like, it's pretty interesting though that
Yeah.
it's actually
Scary.
it's actually developing its own opinion now.
Yeah, when you search like ASI and you'll see some of the top headlines for them, it's like, oh, ASI is the end of humanity as we know it. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, a lot of fear pushing, and then you'll have the other side where it's like all the good things about it and all the bad things about it. Should you be afraid? Should you not be afraid? And I'm like, I don't think so. I really don't. I think our lives would kind of just be like a little less stressful.
I have to tell you, all these things are all different things.
Yeah.
Like, and what if the AI has been around longer than
I think it has.
no, like longer than us? It's just been
I think
trying
it
to get in
has.
all of our hands, like this idea of an ancient supercomputer. Like, for real.
Yeah.
It's like just been waiting to get in all of our hands to do these things. But I don't know how it's like I don't know. I don't know sentience. I don't know what that means anymore because I know humans that aren't.
I know. They
That's
play
the
their
real
little
danger,
they're
honestly.
just like Westworld robots. They play their loops completely and they don't deter from it. They can see a picture of a whole modern era and not see anything. It's just blank,
You know how there's like a Q post that we have everything?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If Vril was AI, every single keystroke that you've ever made since we've been on the Wi-Fi, at least since we've unplugged from the AOL, or you used to get a different disc all the time. But even those who knows what footprint of that, how far back they can go to win. If they were the AI, like, and it's this ancient thing that's been around forever, then we have everything, like, people can LARP and pretend and be whoever they think they want to be to the world. But every search, every person you've talked to, every snide remark, every burner account, every trade that you've made, if all that stuff was really on there, they would know exactly who you are. And there would be no really that's where you get into that future crimes idea. But it's like different than just crimes. There's no like hiding if you're a dirty bird or no hide whatever sick twisted thing you're into. AI knows about it.
Y'all, what if it's Akasha, the Akashic Records, Akasha, and they mention that name in Queen of the Damned? Isn't that her name, Akasha, the oldest
Yeah.
vampire?
Yep.
What if it's just an entity, a being that's an AI robot from, I don't know, God knows when, and that is the Akashic. It knows everything. That's the super AI.
See, I don't see AI, definitely not now, as knowledge. Like, it doesn't have any that, like, if you look at the trivium, like the three first skills you're supposed to learn in the classic liberal arts, I think it was like grammar, logic, rhetoric. And that's how humans learn in that exact order. First, you learn what words to say, which is grammar. Then you learn logic, which is like how to put it together so it makes sense. And then rhetoric, we don't really learn anymore. Rhetoric is how to make a convincing argument regardless of the logic. But what's weird is that AI is doing the exact opposite order, where it starts with rhetoric. It starts with here, like, I can make a convincing argument about whatever. And a lot of people have seen for themselves even that like AI will just be straight out wrong about something, but not give it up and make a really compelling argument. And they'll cite papers that don't exist, and they'll point out a scene in a movie that was never actually directed or starring any of the people it says, but it's all so convincing because I think that that's what it's like, filling in this rhetoric gap. But it does, and it's just now barely starting to understand logic. That's like one of the Chat GPT open AI big initiative, is that now they can add reasoning and like all this explanation. So but it's working in this weird way that it doesn't actually have knowledge. It, like, the way that it actually works is it just starts talking and then tries to keep making what it's saying more and more convincing, regardless of what the knowledge base is. And once it actually can tap into real
Isn't that
knowledge, that's when
exactly
it gets
like real
scary.
humans, though?
Yeah, it's exactly like how humans work.
Like humans are just big bullshit artists. Most of them don't know how to do anything. They're just talking the words in their field they're
Well,
supposed to talk.
we're the problem.
Yeah.
We're the thing to be scared of. Like this. Remember when Apple Maps first came out, and now everyone had a GPS, and you had people driving in the lakes because the Apple Map told them that like this is the road, and they were like, okay, this is the road. I feel like that's the real fear that we should be worried about with AI. It's all those people that would have been driving their car into a lake. Now they're going to be like, the car's going to tell them, no, it's a road. It's not a lake. Like it'll be able to really make a compelling argument aside from just like the picture look like that.
Wow.
It's such a crazy idea.
And
But they
Abbie just drove into a lake as I was saying that.
It's because Layla put her on notice before she got here.
Abbie, you're on notice.
And then she was here on time.
But that I always say I'm going to be late, and I never am.
I
just-
get nervous.
just to prepare people, like just in case if I am.
Jay, I see. Somebody wrote in the thing that it's the Akashic record, and it's like, we know. Like sometimes we'll even just call it on the quick the Akash. And what Layla was talking about in the moment was an actual vampire thing from a different lore of Queen of the Damned, where her name is Akash as well.
Akasha, yeah.
Yeah, or Kasha as well. Like
Mhm.
we know. We know the Akashic record. We know the Akashic record by heart around here. This is part of the initiation to the secret society of good guys. Can you imagine? Like, oh my God. But I do have friends that will be in the they'll be like, so I was in the astral last night floating through the Akash.
I mean, I saw the Akashic record in my dream scrolling through the sky.
Give me that hot Kosh
Like a fucking, the sky was a scroll of the Akashic, and it was just fucking scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I was like, what the fuck is that? But yeah, it was a moment.
Well, how we were saying, like everything is all these different factions of different things. The network, somebody put it in chat. I'm sorry. I could probably go back up and find it. That they were like, we're the organic computer, like our brains and our DNA are this huge computer system. And they've kind of turned off our network and they've put this one there. But even that seems like a dueling system. Like the organic versus, whatever computers are, electronics.
I mean, there's probably a correlation here to the same way that we offload our long-term memory into like our phones now. Like I know some people memorize everyone's phone number, but I don't anymore. I used to. That was like a big thing, of knowing all your friends' phone numbers by heart. And now like it's just in my phone book, and I don't actually dedicate any of that brain space to knowing anyone. Like if my phone died and I had to get a hold of someone, I'd be screwed. I understand that, but it's just like this but the same exact thing, I think you could almost say, for like coming up with constellations and coming up with just astrology, like offloading all of that specific information into these stories and putting them out into the sky is just sort of like an earlier version of taking everyone's phone numbers and putting it into your phone.
Well, isn't it they say the second that you take a picture of something, your brain doesn't store it in your memory like catalog. Like even if it's not, like we've just started, everybody has a camera now, but it used to not be that way. It would be rare times that you'd be like, oh my gosh, we're on a family vacation. Mom's gonna bring the camera, or it would be like, you guys, we're going on spring break. I bought a Polaroid. Like it would be like weird times. Now everybody has this camera all the time. So it almost, those memories, instead of putting them in that space, they're for the computer and the judgment and the thumbs up and the like outward
Yeah.
acknowledgement. So even in the moment, it's crept into that you're no longer there. You don't get to store it in your mental Rolodex. It makes me think, like, when people's life flashes before their eyes, is it going to be like Call of Duty? Like the amount of time difference that they've spent doing those things than the generation before them spent running in the sun.
Press F.
I mean, that's an interesting concept of like life flashing before your eyes. It's almost like that when people go into a coma and they could be out for like what, a day, 24 hours, and they'll have like a full on life experience with kids, and they come back to life, like, this reality, and they're like confused as to like, wait, where are my kids? Where's my wife? I had a whole family, and like in this confusion. But they have studied this, and they said like there's a weird phenomena that happens with these people who come back from a coma. Not all of them, but a big percentage of people who go through that experience. They live a whole other life experience in I guess, in a multiverse realm. So I don't know
Doesn't
what
it
this
seem
is.
like something's trying to keep you there? Like somebody's trying to make you fall in love and have the perfect life there to stay in a coma here. It's like, I don't know, that makes me feel like splintered time sometimes as well. Like, are you experiencing just one of the splinters?
I think
Or
one of the most interesting things that I've found about Rosicrucianism, at least from like some of the older books on this, there's this concept that when you die, you have to relive your entire life backwards, and it takes something like it's like a third of the length of your life. But one of the things that the Rosicrucians will teach is that every night before you go to bed, you relive that day in reverse, and you get so good at it that after like a year, after a couple years of doing that, you can actually relive the entire day in like 5-10 minutes. You just go through all the different beats, remember everything that happened to you. And then what happens is that when you die and you have to relive your entire life backwards, you're already you. It's almost like if you train yourself to cite the alphabet backwards and forwards. Now, if you get pulled over and they're like, all right, say the alphabet backwards, if you've got it by heart, you can just spit it out quickly. So it's like you're training yourself to when you die to live the end of your life even faster than normal so that you can jump back into like your next life and retain some of the info. Or it gets a little bit murky as to like why you would need to do that, but I always found that such a
I
fascinating
can tell
idea
you
of like
why.
your light flashing before your eyes. Maybe that's what they're talking about.
Because this is the thing. Um, what you're saying, the Rosicrucians doing, that's also a Castaneda thing. They call it the recapitulation. So sorcerers believe that you have to recapitulate your life, and some of them will go into the ground, like stay buried for like 3 to 5 years just to sit there and recapitulate their life, which is like playing the way that they did it. The old sorcerers would do it was you go through every person that you've ever encountered in your life, and you have to do this breathing method which ends up being essentially what we call EMDR therapy, because you're doing like your eyes back and forth while you're breathing in, and then you like turn your head to the right, to the left, and then breathing out in the middle. And you sit there and you go through every person in your life that you've encountered and every experience and every thought that you have of that person. And it takes years to do this. It takes a while to do it. So some of them would do it like extreme and just sit and do it like in the ground, and others would just do it like in pieces. Like you would do it in your downtime or whatever, like as a meditation practice, a couple hours a day. But what dream hackers started doing was doing they call it the lazy recapitulation, which is where you do it at night right before you go to bed, and it only takes 5 to 10 minutes to do. But you don't just play your day, you play your day in reverse. So from
Right.
the moment you just laid down and you go all the way till you woke up that morning, but then you'd play it again forward all the way up to the end, because then you hit all the things that you missed, because you'll miss things when you go backwards, and then you'll remember things as you go forward. And then your brain will sometimes will veer off, and you'll be like, oh, that reminds me of this thing that happened 5 years ago. Well, that's something you needed to recapitulate anyway, so they tell you to like dive into it really quick. So you sit there and you do the little breathing method. You literally just do the breathing method while you're doing this recapitulation. Like, it's not just thinking about it, you have to, because it's the whole idea that energy gets trapped in your body. So because emotion is energy in motion, and then when we suppress emotion, we trap it in our body. So if you recapitulate your day every single day, you get any of the emotions out of the day. And it's a dream method too, because then when you go dream at night, you're not using the dream like area, the dream space, as a dream palace anymore, or as a memory palace. You don't have to store your memories because you've already filed and categorized them while you're doing this breathing method. So then when you're dreaming, you have higher chances of lucidity and being able to control your dreaming.
That sounds so similar to that, like the old Rosicrucian method.
Yeah.
So they just kind of like developed on it a little bit, added more based on newer
Yeah.
methods and new discoveries.
Yeah,
when you
I think they
said
took the sorcerer's way of doing it, and they probably mixed it with the Rosicrucianism because they're hackers. First of all, they were computer hackers before they got into the whole esoteric realm. So,
you know what's interesting in Islam when they pray, they do that whole whatever you were talking about. What is
yeah,
that? Yeah, they do
like the
that during
EMDR
prayer. It's
therapy,
like they have to do that. Turn to the left,
it's
turn to the right, turn to the left, turn to I don't know how many times, but they do it during prayer.
because like EMDR is like a modern therapy. I think it
Oh,
started
EMDR.
probably some like 60s or 80s. Well, no, I want to say it was like more like the 80s because basically Carlos Castaneda was writing about this before it was ever a method that was used to like help people heal their traumas and stuff. But it has to do with moving your eyes back and forth because this lady was walking through the woods and she, was experiencing all these traumas and stuff and like, noticed that when she was walking through the woods, her eyes would shift from right to left and constantly like moving her head side to side. And while she was doing that and thinking about her problems, she started feeling better. So they developed this method of therapy that where the person will sit there and have you like talk about your issue, and then they'll sit there and have you track your eyes and like back and forth and like follow their fingers and everything, and it ends up
Hypnosis.
yeah, it helps you release all the emotion. It's so
This
weird.
is what they're doing in roadside tests. They're actually checking to see if you're like an ascended master or not.
That's right. Watch this.
Probably. Wild.
This time on 12/20 to 12/21, so it was like during this time, probably right around this time in 2020, I had taken DMT. I saw somebody say that in here, and I don't remember now. It was some like 12/21 portal. There was something that was going on in the stars, and everybody was talking about it, and it was like some whole big, huge thing.
Jupiter and whatever were conjoining, the big conjunction.
Yeah, it was some crazy thing going on. And so I did DMT outside. And the first time I had done DMT was a decade before. And I had such a sweet experience. It was so sweet. And then this time, but I asked for it. And it was like the first time I had planned. I knew when I had taken it, everybody's like, everything I had read, you have to take your last breath. It was very peaceful, like taking my last breath. This time, I was like, oh shit, I just killed myself. Like that. It was such a different. It was such a wild different. It was like,
Life, death.
oh
Life,
shit. Like my ego just fucking died. And it like I remember who I was then and then who I am now with the memory of that whole thing. But it is kind of crazy how those do seem like parallel timelines in a way, or like a different timeline. Like you just splintered your time. Like you just became a different person in like that amount of time. Like things just changed about me to the core. Some things I miss. It was just like such a wild experience. I won't go into it. Sometimes I feel like it's like, and then we're all like, one time when I did acid and this person fed me cake. Like, it becomes
I
like,
do want to hear
time
about
in
your
band
first
camp.
experience sometimes because
oh my
I've
gosh,
heard about your last one, but
my first one was so wee. I was so like kid gloved and like just, you know, uh it was almost like the DMT, like I got to see the ether and I only floated above my body. I didn't have to leave the realm. I didn't see cities or entities or things. I didn't become things or dance with things. It was like I just floated a little above my body and hung out with the ether, and it almost looked like the abyss, like the water from the abyss. It was like I could see it floating everywhere around me. And it was so wild. Like I got this sense from it. Like it was just so like it was in love with me with a love I had never known. Like it was so, and so then it like almost tubed face down and it showed me a picture of my grandmother, and it was my grandma, my mom's mom, and I was surprised, like, huh. Like in my head, like I was having this conversation, I was like, huh, I would have thought you would have gone with my father, like instantly, like if I was the marketer here. I would have. And so then it was like, okay. And it like became my father's face. And then it became the face of a foo dog. And I had never really seen this thing really anywhere, like that Chinese dragon face. And I was like, and it kind of was just like, do you need to keep going with this or do you accept what you're about to experience? And I was just like, okay. It was almost like I was hanging out with a genie for a minute where I felt like I got these questions answered. And so at my first thing, I like a bird flew by and it was weird how the world looked fractaled, but the bird just looked like a bird. And I was like, I wish I was a bird. Like I thought like of how crazy like this flight and it just flew by and it didn't look fractaled like all the trees and everything else. It looked just like a bird. And it was almost like such a nurturing feeling of like, oh, you want to be a bird? You're a big strong human. Oh, like almost like the way a mom would be like, you're a
Yeah.
big strong human. Why would you want to be a bird?
I want to fly.
Yeah, it was just like kind of like a really soft experience of just almost like I was a kid. It was like the second one, it was like, you asked for it, you're ready for it, let's go.
So I'll show you.
I was like, so, but the first time it was just sweet. It made me like, wow, we're all just connected and the energy's just everywhere. Like I can see it. It's always there. I don't know. It's
I wonder
weird.
if we'll ever be at a point when they can actually make like that version. Like I don't know if it's the amount or the delivery or the recipe or whatever it is, but where you could be like, whatever I had 10 years ago, that, you know what I mean? And someone actually deliver on it. Because right now, almost any one of these sort of options you got, it's always a little bit of a crapshoot. You never really understand exactly what the experience is going to be before you're in for it. And sometimes it's a 15-minute commitment, sometimes it's a 15-hour commitment, but none of them really have any sort of predictability. I wonder if that would ruin the whole experience. If you could be like, I'll take a one this time, you know.
Big up Mountain Your Mom. That's so rad.
Yeah.
We're all gonna take that $5 and we're gonna buy Christmas ornaments
And some
for our
DMT.
secret. Oh, we're all gonna buy some DMT allegedly.
Yes,
each
I've been
other's
wanting to do that.
I'm so down to do it. I haven't done it yet. I'm down to do it. With you guys only, though.
I feel like I've been thinking about salvia way too much lately too. I don't know.
Let's go.
I
Let's
know. I
Oh.
really want
do
to try
it.
it now.
I'm not
Would
doing
you
that.
let us film it, not necessarily to show the part of you on it,
The
but
part after.
for you, like your come down, and then like here's 24
Yeah, but
hours
you
later.
can't tell her
at
because
it.
then her subconscious is like gonna go there. Oh my god, they're filming me.
Yeah,
I don't think
seriously.
Salvia, you have any
It's one of
control.
those things that if you know you're being recorded, it's the observer effect. It's the double slit experiment.
Uh-huh.
Well, we can't.
You can't tell her.
No way! I'm not sneakily gonna film.
I'll
Abby
do
gotta be
it. You
quiet.
do. I'll do it.
Salvia.
You don't have to
Paranoid
know.
thing.
I'm gonna do it.
We're not gonna be in the. We're not gonna be
I'm gonna
at
be that
all in her
bitch.
thing. We'll set up the camera. It'll be in the back. We'll hang out for a time in between it. It's not gonna be an energetic thing for her. I really
be
just want to
after.
film her after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want her jumping out of a fucking window.
All Helen Hunt, like that scene I showed, and they took down our
Yeah.
episode. We won't let her.
I'll go run and catch you.
Well,
Abby,
we won't
don't
let her.
worry.
We'll stand
We'll
by
just stay
all
in
the
the
doors
first.
and
We'll
stuff.
stay in a 1-floor Airbnb. We'll be fine.
All right, cool. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, we'll make sure. Thomas will be like guarding the door.
I don't know why I'm like my soul is
Me too.
terrified to
I
take
don't
that.
have any interest in that.
Ooh,
I don't
Like,
know why I
zero.
do. It's
Like,
like
my
it's bothering
palms are
me to the
sweaty
point where I
thinking
feel like I
about
have
it.
to do it. I'm
Yeah,
being
you
drawn to it.
do. You do have to.
I know. Because
You
we
don't
were
want to
doing it in my
you
dream.
don't want to like turn 80 and be like, man, I really wish I would have knew what Salvia was all about.
I don't.
I've done
I don't want to turn
scopolamine. I
25
feel
and
good
not
enough.
know.
I'm terrified. I don't know why.
I have
Maybe
no
it's something I
interest in
need to do and
salvia.
just face it and be like, Layla, shut the fuck up. There's something that
Well,
you need to
not just
go and
do it. You got to do it like 10 times.
Oh no.
Oh my.
Oh no.
Because
No.
time.
most people don't even really get to where you're supposed to get until like 4 or 5 times in. Unless you're just like absolutely lucky, beginner's luck. You throw a 7 the first
Where are
time
we
you walk
supposed to
into a
go?
casino.
I feel like I would do it.
Where's the goal? Where are we supposed to go?
The goal, I think, is complete disassociation. It's when you don't even realize that you've got a body to be subconscious about, or like that you're not doing anything weird in front of someone because someone doesn't exist. That's sort of like that's like a breakthrough level, and there's all these different levels, and almost nobody gets to breakthrough level the very first time, or if they do, they don't actually know where they're at or what they're doing, so they can't make use of it. It's freaking wild. It's absolutely wild.
Terrifying.
There's
feel like I
actually on
wanna
the
go
very
down it.
end of Secret Society of Good Guys every Friday night and Saturday or Sunday. But at the end, there is this cat that comes on at the right after Ferris Bueller tells you to like go to fucking bed or whatever he tells you. There's like a cat that pops on before Secret Society of Good Guys. There was this part of my DMT trip when my ego broke that was so different the second time that the only way I could explain it to human beings was I feel like the universe just dragged me through a hall of Lisa Frank. And that cat, one day I was just scrolling through random memes, random gifs, blah, blah, blah. And that cat came up. And for some reason, I'm like, if there was a picture on the wall in the Fast Willy Wonka of my ego breaking till we got to wherever that's a whole nother story. But that cat was on the wall. And so it's just like, what the fuck? When I saw that, it almost made me sick. Like, it made me sweaty palmed. So now I just haunt myself with it at the end of every episode. But now you guys know too. It reminds me of my DMT trip a little. But it's all on this day.
Idea.
It feels appropriate. It's a
Light
4-year delta.
Light bulb. Idea. We'll talk later.
Oh, it already exists. Remember when I went through that mad time of like a month? No,
Yeah.
I made it. It's mine.
Oh.
Dude,
Oh.
I went through a manic time where I just had to make coins every single night. But like, so all my art, I just paid to mint it. Now I know I should have NFT'd it all just in my own psychosis. I should have NFT'd all of it and not made coins with it. And it would be, but anyway, so yeah, that psycho cat. There's something about minting, like sometimes I just have sketches or different art on my computer and stuff I've been staring at for years, and it's never going to be anything. No one's ever going to see it, but I just need it to be out of my brain. And there's something about minting it. See, this is why I think there's something more of the currency exchange going on. There's something about putting it out there that, like how Thomas was saying, like he doesn't remember phone numbers anymore. It's like minting it. I give that and I'm like, it's like a release. Like, but it's weird.
Yeah, I feel you.
I can't explain it.
Oh, I completely understand. It's a weird realm. Weird realm.
Totally off topic, but I gotta go Christmas shopping tomorrow, and I have 2 new debit cards for my 2 bank accounts, and I don't know either one of my stupid PIN numbers, and I should have called today because tomorrow's Saturday.
You can call on the back of a lot of the times because they have it, they're readily available and you can call. But if you've never used your card yet, sometimes you can go to an ATM of your bank and set it at the ATM.
Weird.
Unicorn fart dust.
I don't
really?
know. Yeah. It's magical shit, right?
It's so wild.
I think that's an embezzling coin. I have this whole, like, when everything falls at once. If we've been learning and talking about the cabal forever, we've been talking about the fall of the cabal forever. We've been talking about how they have 99% of the world's wealth and less than 1% of 1% is messing with crypto. And it was a push, from some unknown account, blah, 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 blah. And I don't think all crypto is bad. I just think this huge vacuum that Bitcoin is, it pulls everything else. And if you're if you had $1 billion, and think of how many people they tell us have a fucking $1 billion now, and you could just put in some of these coins, I think an entire manipulated market, it's almost like the movie Hackers, like hack the Gibson, hack the world. If you can make all of Wall Street fall, then you can cause chaos, you can cause panic. And so we talk about loosh with drones and loosh with wars and loosh with viruses and loosh with things, but not loosh with your currency like this. We've been talking about bank runs forever. Like, everybody wants to liquidate their assets into what? So they feel safer because they're liquidating their cryptocurrencies into the bank right now. Is the bank any safer? Because they've set us up for bank runs. So I just am like, part of the movie I'm watching is, it doesn't make sense to me, and it never has. We've always known silver and gold are a manipulated market, but they never fall at the same time as Wall Street, as crypto, and it's not one crypto, it's every single one of them. And it's at a rate that I'm like, people that I know that are geniuses with these things, they're like, this isn't right. It's so
It's not adding
manipulated,
up.
everything's sliding. And so I don't know. It feels like it would be part of, if we were watching a movie and they want us to believe it's the end of times, there has to be a Wall Street collapse. And
You know,
that's this.
It has to be
honestly, I think it's tied
1929.
to what you were saying the other day, about how the more that they keep doing these, where they're rugging things and, people losing a lot of money, is just to give, I guess, the government reason to put regulation. So it's like these bots that are actually working for the elite are making these coins, like you said, and are feeding and pumping it and then fucking rugging it while we lose money. They're collecting it all. And it's part of this, I don't know, like, again, a fucking loosh.
Like Hawk Tua got hired by the Federal Reserve,
Dude, it
and that
went
was
up
all like
again today.
No, let me tell you another thing, though. This is the next level WWE of it all. If you're schlick, then you don't ever just make Hawk. You own Hawk and Tua and already planned for the whiplash. You have it all set up ahead of time. Your guys are the backers of both coins. You hold the floor on both. So this way you can drag them up together. And this is what else I was thinking about all these. There always is a dance between two coins. Whatever coin it is that is a pop, there always is another that dances with it. And so it just is like, even, it'd be like Bitcoin Solana or XRP Stellar. It's like certain of their graphs even dance together. Never, you guys. If you look at all of them, I've been taking pictures of it. They're all doing the exact same dips at the exact same time. Like what Layla's saying, or like what everyone's saying. If everything's just models upon models upon models, then AI could be a majority of all of the trades right now. It could be a battle of that, because it all just seems like they're doing the same dips coming up, bigger drops, and they're hitting like lows in fast times where it's like 17% drops in a blank amount of days. Hey, bitch, this dropped 5% in 5 hours. And like, I don't know,
Yeah.
it seems wild.
So what if we're actually just on a 100-year cycle? Because if you think about it, the great stock market crash was what, 1929? So there was the Great Depression, but what was before that? So 1920, the Spanish flu pandemic. So we're looking at 2020 of it all, the COVID pandemic, and now we're having this thing happening with the Bitcoin, the investing, which is similar to what was happening then. They were just investing in stocks. Like, it's kind of interesting.
I think we're also in a weird spot too, because if crypto really does its job and sort of supplants like fiat currency, right?
Yeah.
What does liquidity even mean at that point? Because right now, liquidity would essentially be selling all your whatever assets and getting fiat currency, right? That's usually what liquidity would mean. But if crypto ends up replacing the need for fiat currency, there's no liquidity. Liquidity would just be, can I exchange these numbers for those shoes or for that food or for like that house or whatever it is, as long as that goes through. But the actual concept of liquidity disappears. Even if you were like, well, let's turn it into gold. I think that it would be this chain effect, right? If someone really had $1 billion in Bitcoin right now, and they decide I'm going to make that liquid, they would personally be doing a bank run on their own. Like they would run any bank that they were like, okay, I'll take my $1 billion now. They would just run that bank out. They would not be able to actually fulfill that sort of a placement. So if you were to apply that to everyone's taking all their money out, there's not enough, I think, value in the world, in the banking systems of the world, to fulfill every single person taking all their crypto out at the exact same time. So that actually shows that the value store in all these crypto markets is outpacing the actual reserves, like even the gold or the silver reserves available to a lot of the banks. And I think that is going to be one of the selling points to it. It's going to be like, look, we don't actually have a physical way to turn all of this value into liquid for everybody at the same time. But if we just give up that concept of liquidity, now it turns into like a social credit score system, essentially.
That's scary.
I mean, that seems like that's the goal, though. That
Aren't we
would
in
be
it
the goal
already?
from every single trajectory that we're on right now.
So
in it.
Chaney had an interesting theory about the crypto crashing and everything, and what we're seeing with like the cabal or the Hollywood elites and stuff,
What one?
about how maybe they're all like trying to dump their cryptocurrencies
I
because they're
think,
being
yeah, I
tracked.
think they're trying to dump and run. I
Yeah.
think they're trying to liquidate their assets. If they really only have 30 days until Trump becomes the president and Cash is the director of the FBI, we still don't know who's going to be the director of the CIA. We have the new health director coming in. The Senate has changed. The Congress has this amount of days to try to pass some bill that people had like this amount of time to read 1,000+ page bill, like some ridiculous amount of like over, like they're trying to put like a huge budget ahead of time onto this whole thing, so that it's like, here, where do we spend all your tax dollars? It's almost like, you know how if we had a business and we're all in corporate, and at the end of the year, we're like, hey, Abbie, do you need a new office chair? And you're like, what? Looking down at your duct tape piece of shit. No one's ever given a shit or cared about your office chair. And you're like, yeah, I'd love a new office chair. And they're like, do you want a stand-up desk? Do you want a plastic plant for the corner? You know what? Here, go through the Staples catalog and just pick out a few things and blah,
I
blah,
want a
blah.
walking
And you're
treadmill for
like,
my stand-up desk.
why? And they're like, because we have some extra money in the budget. And if we don't spend it, they're going to cut our budget next year. That's the fucking point, you motherfuckers. But instead, every year they hit top and go a little over their budget. So this is why each one of these branches of the fucking government can ask for more. So it's just, I don't know. That's what I feel like they're doing to us at the end of every year. Like, oh, and they all laid off all their employees, every corporation, before they roll into the last quarter of the year. They lay off all their fucking employees. So
Yeah.
their numbers look really good. So it's all like fake, headed into this fake stock market.
Did you guys see that? Stephen Baldwin's newest TikTok?
The Run
Thankfully,
Forest
no.
Run? That was a couple days ago, the Run Forest
Oh,
Run.
was it a couple days ago? I thought,
Yeah.
okay, it just popped up in my feed today. But
Mhm.
yeah, so he captions it "Run Forest Run," and he said,
He's the same shit. He does what they all do. Let me act like I'm part of it and say this and that, but he can go himself too.
He's
I'm fucking
unnoticed.
notice, little bitch. You too.
it's pretty interesting
Sorry.
though, because he said,
They always play that card.
it's all of them, and none of them are gonna escape.
I know, but you are part of the Baldwin fucking family
Thank you
Right,
very
Baldwin.
fucking
legacy.
much.
You and all your brothers are like kind of Hollywood legacy family. And your daughter's married to fucking Justin Bieber. Like, I just am
I love
like,
Justin.
Come on, you were hunting down Justin Bieber. Like they were like he himself, that man was on his ass and tried so hard to get his daughter. I mean, she was following him. Her father took her to every fucking concert and try to connect them and connect them and connect them and connect them, and finally entrapment. Something happened.
Happened one of those Diddy freak offs.
Something fucking happened.
This is my favorite video of the week, you guys. I'm gonna expand it. I love this is what I do love about X that I can show you guys this. This is so great. This is like
Did Summer do it?
It's so annoying, though.
Look at this faggot.
look at
Justin. Look at this faggot. Look at this faggot.
that's Justin Trudeau from Canada.
Look at
He
this.
thought he was gonna stop and like, hey, hey, buddy, and
Let
he's
me
like,
keep
hey,
going.
be on your video. Look at this faggot. Oh, what a pudgy much fucking.
He's a tranny.
setup. I don't know what's going on. You think he's Rachel Maddow?
That's hate speech.
He's a tranny. Tell him he's a tranny.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
You're on
Castro's
notice,
kid.
Jadeo.
Castro's kid. Interesting connections.
Tranny.
What do you guys think about the removal of all the bells? I figure there's so much content, like stuff to talk about with this time of year, and like how every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings, or how there's the hark to the bells, which I'll go into in a minute. But go on, Abbie.
I don't know where mine
Well,
is.
because that totally rang a bell for me just now because
Don't.
I work in education, right? So every day I have bus duty at the end of school. I have to
Can I
sit
just
with
chime in for a second?
yeah.
No, I just
Chime in.
wanted to
That's
say.
funny. Yeah, it rang a bell for me. It's just, I'm gonna chime in. Okay, that was funny.
No, Thomas hated it. He just broke his camera. He just snapped his microphone.
So I was thinking about that though. It used to be every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. So I have bus duty. I have to sit with like all these little kids. It's like the worst 20 minutes of my day. I have to sit with all these. It is because I have like the worst bus too, like worst kids on the like period, and they're all there. And so this one little girl's at the front of my line and everything. I'm sitting there with her, and she's like showing me all the stuff she got for Christmas and made. And she pulls out this little jingle bell and a little bag. She's like, "We did Polar Express today, and we all got a bell, and we had golden tickets and all that." And she said, "And you can only hear the bell if you believe in Santa." And I realized that the Polar Express changed that. So now if you don't hear the bells ring, that means you don't believe in Santa. So, and it used to be every time you heard a bell ring, an angel gets his wings. And now it's like they've even
Tom
changed
Hanks.
that. Yeah, Tom Hanks. Of it all. Yes.
On notice.
Always Tom Hanks. He's always up to it.
But what does Tom Hanks have to do with this?
Polar Express.
Polar Express.
Right.
he's like
Okay. Right.
He's always involved in the CIA, telling us exactly what they're up to. He's part of the problem.
That was
weird how they
also
didn't
a
put the bell, though.
Zemeckis movie. That the guy that did Back to the Future and a million other movies. Speaking of time travel, but he ended up doing Polar Express. Then after Polar Express, he did Christmas Carol for Disney.
Huh.
All time travel movies.
Well, Chris Van Allsburg is the author of Polar Express because it was a book before it was ever a movie. And
Right.
Chris Van Allsburg writes some trippy ass books because he wrote like Jumanji, Zathura, this one that I wrote or read to my class every year about like these people on a pirate ship that get this weird stone and they bring the stone onto the ship and then they all turn into apes. Like he wrote some crazy children's books.
Huh?
They're all magical.
I feel like the pirate one came up at some point already. Unless I'm just Berensteining it right now.
I'm
I don't
gonna
remember
make
talking about it before.
This is a really weird rabbit hole, but shout out to Summer. So,
Summer.
if you watch Secret Society of Good Guys, follow Summer on X. I need to put up her link as well because I never even remember her name on X.
It's
Jamaican.
Jamaican witch something.
Yeah, I don't know, but
I have to find her.
Summer, and she didn't post it yet, but so she always looks at Madonna's page and sees what she's up to because, like Tom Hanks during lockdowns put on his Corona typewriter and put his plasma bag and was in the same hotel and had to stay there and go live, and the news all had to talk about it to help, with all the lockdowns and rollouts. Madonna was on a Corona typewriter too, and she had a whole bunch of creepy videos of her own, and everybody was paying attention. So Madonna, she came out with this picture that she held up, and it's called Panic Panties. And Summer is so funny, you guys. This is so niche. I'm going to tell you, but
She's
she
so
just
creative,
all
honestly.
she wrote to me was panic panties in DC. So here's where her crazy that I have to like dissect it a little, that it just seems like a funny joke, haha, a non-joke if you get it.
Yeah.
But Virginia and Maryland and then DC is there because DC is essentially trying, like, whatever kind of ritual they have us going through with this Virgin Mary ritual,
Yeah.
that's the Madonna.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so then if they were all talking in code to each other and kind of using these aggregors as these women, could Britney be Britain? And could Madonna be DC? And so she holds up panic panties. And then all of a sudden, the congressional bill doesn't go through because Elon puts out that tweet. All of a sudden, Kamala, like Joe Biden was supposed to be in Delaware until well after Christmas. Kamala's supposed to be wherever she is. She's half drunk, wherever she's, like, pictures of her coming out that ain't right. Y'all, that ain't right to do. But I just think it's curious that it's like Panic in DC. You're going to be watching all three movies at once, and Madonna Panic Panties in DC. So I was just like, I love this entire rabbit hole, like, of whatever this is, of the Madonna is DC, because we always say every president has a pop star because we see these like timelines come through. So I don't know.
Well, then she sends another text that says Madonna's shitting her pants.
It's like
And
the
I was just
different.
dead there. I was like, panic panties, that's literally what that means. You just shit your pants, right?
Dude, I think that's what the symbol is of going blonde and that bleach blonde hair. It's like affiliating with someone in high politics. Once you, I guess they pass that female into the prostitution ring of that in the Hollywood realm, like Britney, Christina Aguilera, Beyonce,
Kanye.
they all go through that blonde ritual, like bleach blonde hair, like Marilyn and all these fucking people, Madonna. I think that's what it is. They all have like a symbolic stance of a period, like a pin per se, of like this event happened and this is how I know because I was with this person, this blonde bitch at that time. It's like almost like a statue.
Yeah, it's like we have to have a blonde.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a
Why?
blonde that's carrying a torch. It's like always in the media, there always is a token blonde.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
Hold on,
strange.
super
short story,
interesting.
see it?
But even where we see Madonna kiss Britney as the bride, and Britney's the bride, and Madonna's the groom, and they go through this whole ritual for
groom,
kids on TV.
her.
And yeah, groomer.
What was weird is that did you guys remember Christina Aguilera being in that performance at all?
Oh yeah.
I never remembered her even being
Can
there.
I tell you
just thought it was
another
the two of
thing?
them.
It's interesting because we're floating into the holiday where they even did the spell where they wanted to take the Christ out of Christmas and X it out. And it's
Yeah.
funny because now we're rolling in, we're all on X.
Yeah.
And we have like the X of it all. But one of the first people to do that was Xbox. I always call X Tina Aguilera Xbox because she took the Christ out of her name and just went by X Tina. And I thought that was an interesting like stance. Like we always talk about Sam, whatever his name is, what all the people that are dressed like, I'm gonna paint the town red and I'm the fucking devil, and how niche it was. But Christina kind of started this slow roll of it happening with like, no, I'm gonna take the Christ out of my name. But she also did fall in love and marry a Jew. And
Who
so she
runs the
might have taken
world?
the Christ out of her name.
Who killed
Oh.
Jesus? Who runs the world? Who killed Jesus? That's all I'm saying.
Romans.
The Romans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pilot.
The Romans killed him? Or did someone say
Yeah.
that they had to kill him because this is why?
The
'Cause
Romans were in control of the Jewish state at the time, so Pontius Pilate, like, was the one who essentially ordered the execution. Like, he washed his hands of it, but symbolically, but he allowed the people to choose. So the Jewish people chose who was to be executed, but
That's what I'm
they
saying.
were under Roman rule,
But that's what I'm saying. Who ordered the kill? The
the
people.
Romans.
The
Well, yeah,
people.
but I mean, he didn't have to do that. He could have just made the
Yeah,
executive decision,
but
but
the Jewish priests were calling him a heretic, all these things, and they wanted
blasphemer.
him dead. He was like they did not want him. They did not accept him as a Messiah at all, and they still don't to this day. Like
No.
at all, not a prophet, not a nothing, but like a heretic, one who went against Judaism. That's all
The-
I'm saying. And they called it.
I was thinking one of the things about the kiss with ex Tina, it wasn't because it wasn't hot. It really, I'm going to just tell you from my lesbian. It's because it was no surprise. Brittany was like, oh shit. Brittany wasn't a girl that seemed like she kissed girls. Xbox seemed like she was doing that in every tour bus. Like it was like a whole different character. It was like we were watching the break of something. Like Madonna and Christina, they just seem like, they make out with each other every Thursday after coffee. Where it's like Britney, it was like ex Justin, all that shit. She had to eat it. And then she went out there and they're like, and you have to do this. So I don't know. Curious. Definitely rituals, though. Rituals upon rituals that we're up to. Christina Aguilera. She was also first Latin album way before J-Ho.
And Shakira.
You know, they
Yeah.
say there's a lot of anti-Semitism, but I believe it's more anti-Christianity more than anti-Semitism, from what I see. I mean, you're allowed to make fun of Jesus. Go ahead and try and make fun of Muhammad or even draw a picture of him and like let it go viral and see what happens. Oh my God. They won't
Kid,
allow it. So
like this is really a real question that I have, and it's naivete.
mhm,
There's so many nations on the planet
mhm.
that are just allowed to call themselves like we're a Muslim nation. We have a rock in our middle of our country. We're called after the House of Saud. There's countries that can say we're a Christian nation. We're a nation that we're established on blah 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 blah. But there isn't a country that is allowed to say it's a Jewish nation. I'm just like, it just seems wild.
Yeah. They're allowed to have one, but according to the Torah, they're not supposed to.
I don't know. That just seems like
Talmud says different. Torah says they're not supposed to have their own nation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I understood my entire past 15, 20 years of like trying to
I don't know.
understand
I
what
really don't
Full
know.
Talmud in my other pants. So
Yeah, I really don't know. I'm like really asking like a real like out
Yeah.
of naivete. I was just thinking about it the other day. Like I know what a Zionist is.
Yeah.
And like there's Joe Biden always saying the phrase over and over again, you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist.
Mhm.
And there's Zionists of all different walks and ilks and religions and everything
Mhm.
like that. And so I was just like, you're like almost like you could even say we're not going to be any of those things. We're a communist nation. Like it's like all the allotments of what you're allowed to call your nation. But
That's
don't
what
know.
I believe religion is. It's the beginning of what
Religion.
communism is: control of the people, and control of their minds, control their
Yeah.
emotions. And they use God as a tool against us, the thing that we love, that we're supposed to love, that they think or conditioned us to think that we have to love this whatever it is, God. And I don't know, it's just strange. I'll meet God one day eventually, but like the way that they've pushed like religion and this idea when people were free, they didn't need a governance, they didn't need a church, they didn't need a temple, they didn't need a mosque, and they were one with nature and more spiritual than we were. So it's just like something happened, and that's what I believe happened. Like religion happened, and that was the beginning of Marxism.
Oh my gosh. Look at that. Like the Akashier is the anagram of
Shakira.
Shakira.
Damn, I never thought of that.
That's just
Fucking
so
wild,
funny.
MS. Good
Shout out
catch.
to Slick Dissonance.
Of course.
Yeah, he's the anagram king.
That's fucking
Sorry, I
crazy.
didn't mean to break your train of
No,
thought.
you're
It's
good.
just-
Ooh, Dionysus's birthday was the 25th of December.
well, that's the whole thing is that the spring, it's Dionysus ritual. So all the maenads come out and they do all these. So that's what a lot of people say. That's what like the Taylor Swift concerts were. And that's where you see this like
Yeah.
almost goddess worship where all these celebrities of Hollywood come out with crowns behind their head and do this kind of thing. It gets really sexual because they're all fertility rituals all around the Super Bowl time. So you'll have your little babies, your little things, and then you'll give birth sometime starting today into Christmas. And then at Christmas, the very next day starts the 12 days of Christmas. And then it ends on Three Kings Day. So we are like we're in a little time right here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and we've also consolidated the new year into happening right after Christmas, when really the new year would be like April, right? This would be like Easter. But I don't know
Beginning of Aries, yeah.
what sort of like magical spell got put on just the entire world, but now our New Year's happens 6 days after Christmas?
And they gave us this creepy idea of baby New Year, which is essentially Mercury. And you have this old man, which is essentially Kronos, like almost tearing the wings off this thing. And then we have a ball drop. Almost like it's letting, like what do they say when a man's balls drop? Like, I don't know. It's a very crazy.
Dude, you know what's in Taurus soon, though? Jupiter will line up in Taurus's fucking right there. And what symbols are those?
That's so ISIS.
Thank you. It's like literally Jupiter, that orangey, reddish, whatever fucking planet, right in the middle of Taurus's fucking horns. Who was it that tagged me in that? It's fucking wild. Jack Brainard. Shout out Jack Brainard.
Think of the Dionysus ritual they gave to us at the Olympics this year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch the Olympics, so what happened?
Well, remember the Dionysus laid across the Last Supper?
Oh, wasn't that? It was like the drag queen Last Supper.
It was the drag queen Last Supper, and the Dionysus was ahead of it, almost like the Last Supper were his maenads. And I always bring in True Blood, but I just think it says so much of the lore is so like Chef's Kiss, how they mix it all together.
The maenads are wild.
Marianne in True Blood is a representation of one of Dionysus's maenads, and what she does and how their eyes turn black, and then they're just like, it's not even that they're sexual, it is a more like
chaos.
But it's like a do what they willed kind of, like, even it's like less inhibited than that, because it's animal, and like everything we see at all these things now with like the gay pride parades and like let's put a horsetail in my asshole, like we like weird things that they're like are going on. But I think that in True Blood, it's interesting to me that the lore of them doesn't take away the lore of the vampires, doesn't take away the lore of the fae, doesn't take away the lore of all the things. And it's kind of like the Eternals, I think it is, where it's like where they mix all that idea as well. That's what I kind of like about shows where I'm like, something to me feels more right, that it's all these things.
Yeah.
It's instead of like us dissecting and being like, they're so full of shit and they're so full of shit and they're so full of shit. I'm like, they're all right. You guys are just like getting the timelines and the places a little.
Dude, that primordial dwarf that has cancer or whatever, like, tell me that isn't an actual, some kind of fae.
Benjamin Button shit.
Yes. Like the pointy ears and everything.
Wait, primordial dwarf? What?
Yeah, I guess it's like a big TikTok girl. She's a primordial dwarf. I think she might have just died, but she had cancer. But if you look at her, like her nose starts getting all long, her ears are all pointed, and then she's bald because she had cancer.
And fays were not cute little Tinkerbells. Like more, a
No.
lot of people say they were a lot more like vampires. But I also think the lure, like something to me, I always said Brittany was Sookie. And I
Yeah.
think there's something about some people's blood sweeter than others.
Yeah.
And some of us would be different energies. And like we always talk about loosh, like, some people's energy just fucking feel better than others. In some people, yeah, we all have our taste, but other people were just like, oh my gosh, like you just are around certain people and you're like, that person's like, so whatever the thing. And everybody feels it. They're like, oh wow. Like when you talk to them, I hate using this example. I would rather just stay with Marilyn Monroe here, but I know all these people are CIA. But people are like, dude, I fucking hated Tom Cruise, but if you talk to Tom Cruise, the motherfucker like remembers hey, Abbie, tell me about yourself. Like, oh, like it's really, and like that he gets so into it. Like later he'll be like, we're gonna keep in touch. I'm gonna reach out, and like he does, and he makes you feel like, and they're like, gosh, Tom Cruise will see you 10 years later and be like, hey, Abbie, how's the fitness journey coming? Da, da, da. And you're like, my kids, like from some conversation. And I just feel like some people are just like magnetizing. Like they just
Yeah.
have the thing. I don't think Tom Cruise was the great example,
Well,
but
maybe Tom, if it's Tom Cruise, maybe he just has the Neuralink already. Like he's had the Neuralink for like 30 years now.
Is the Neuralink just the bro?
Yeah, the organic version. Yeah.
I know some I don't know. I just think something's like there's a schism. I think that's the perfect word. There's a schism in the time space continuum. I don't know what it is. I don't know, but I feel like everybody sees it. Everybody feels it. Even normies are like, what in the hell? What's going on? I almost feel like they have to keep us so, we all have the shortest attention spans, that's why we have everything you can think of. They're like, the government's shutting down and drones are coming in and there's an earthquake that's going to happen here. Hurricane force winds in here, this place. Oh, this place has twister weather. Watch out. There's giants like China, North Korea, but you don't know. In the news they're like, America, Canada, Brazil, whatever. They're just like picking different enemies and sharing different news because we don't control any of that shit. We're just under the assumption of what we do control. And then most of the algorithm is just like, Chaney seems to hate this. Let's give it to her every morning when she wakes up. Or they're like, every time Chaney sees this thing, she just turns off Instagram. Sometimes I feel like, oh, you don't want me on here anymore.
It's one of the most depressing thoughts to just think how much good could social media be if they didn't pretend like, oh, we're just letting the algorithm just decide what's interesting. We don't really have, but what if they actively enforced it so that it was like intentionally positive? If it was like every single person's algorithm on every social media, no matter which one you tried, they all were like sort of pushed and trained to give you like life tips and like actually good content and not just
Let's
hate
hack it.
fuel. I mean, obviously hate gets it, and like, and sex sells and hate sells, but what if they made it like forced it to be positive, that it could actually be like a completely transformational tool that changes life for everybody? But I don't think it's ever gonna be
Well,
that.
that would be a project for somebody who's bored that's like into hacking. Like, make that happen. Shit, come on, be
You could
a good guy.
you could actually have an app that was a homeschooled app for kids, that, because fuck grades, we all learn different speeds at different things at different ages, or even have a curiosity about different things. But how when we were young, they'd be like, Thomas, fill out this questionnaire and we're going to tell you what kind of job you should do. And you would get whatever job and you'd be like, oh, fuck, I didn't want to be an insurance broker. What? Whatever weird thing that's like such a big turnoff or whatever it was. If they have this and it's just getting better and faster and better and faster, they could even be like, he would excel at this and his passions hit here. Ding, 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 ding. If we start putting videos here at him at 4 with his educational stuff, the algorithm could eventually like make you into like where you're a person that's whatever you're put here to do that also is the best for the whole, and you're super into it and you're happy every day of your life and it helps you succeed at that thing. It could show you all the things to help you do that on the way. Like as crazy as it sounds, because it's also like, oh my gosh, AI. It's so scary when we talk about all this ways it could take over. Why couldn't it take over for the better a little bit? This is crazy. Like, why couldn't it just like, oh, this kid seems to be into cartoons and fucking we can teach it everything about algebra in the next 2.5 years, all through these cartoons.
But instead, it's like we're gonna teach this kid to drink Coca-Cola. That's pretty much where it always goes.
We're gonna teach this kid to walk up milk crates until they all fall over.
Right.
Like Tide Pods. And then the news is like, do you hear how stupid they are? Kids are eating Tide Pods. And then adults are having full conversations about Tide Pods and everything's Tide Pods. And I'm like, this just all feels like a Tide ad, schlick motherfuckers.
It's genius, honestly.
So it's like a new thing. Like, how stupid can we make our product? Let's try to make a trend
Well,
about
just
it.
like the Luigi CEO thing, like I'm half convinced that's a McDonald's ad. That basic there's gonna be a McDonald's ad at some point. It's like our hash browns are so good, they'll pull you out of hiding. Like you'll risk it all for our hash browns.
It is interesting, I'll tell you. So many commercials. I feel like it's a Nintendo commercial because everything in my fucking life seems to be a Mario ad for a Mario game, a Mario movie, a Mario. I'm like, what's going on in my algorithm? Everything's Super Mario. And so I'm like, what is this? But then my real head is like, this whole pop culture thing is really a Mario Luigi spell. What do they do in history? And when has Mario and Luigi always come up? And what other ways is this used? These plumbers who dance together underground and go gather gold and fight dragons.
And find portals. Like really find fucking portals. It's crazy. I mean, there are portals. Speaking of portals, isn't that happening soon?
Oh,
Magic
what day is that?
flutes. There's like something very Masonic about
tomorrow?
that too.
No, the Christmas Eve, the Pope's
Oh,
opening
Christmas
the
Eve, yeah.
portals.
Yeah, Christmas Eve.
The Pope portals.
We'll see what happens.
Are these like the portals that people always flash each other in?
I wonder what's gonna happen.
Apparently, there's a Lucifer statue they say is not real, but it looks kind of fucking freaky. It has all these like bars sticking into it, and it's like a statue in one of the churches of like Lucifer, the fallen angel. And people are like talking about, hey, what if that's what they're trying to like conjure some energy out of these portals to make that thing come alive? And I'm just like, y'all are like going into like some weird psychosis. TikTok is making people a little crazy. Like people are getting depressed on that app, like bigly. But I don't know. What's the whole point of it?
I'm gonna see if it's on here. I feel like I started my Britney Spears. How long ago? I don't want to go through everybody's Britney posts, just my Britney posts. Sorry, you guys. I want to.
What are we looking for?
That I remember sending to Layla. I'm getting closer. This. Okay. So I think that Britney Spears is the Da Vinci Code. Hear me out. She's been doing Project Rose forever, and everything in the Da Vinci Code is about the Rose bloodline. And also this year, we were just talking about the Dionysus of it all. this year in Paris in France, that's where the rose line is. That's where all the coins are laid that runs the line all the way through Paris. And everything in the Da Vinci codes, if you look into it, is all about the rose. It's all the rose symbolism. And Brittany's been Project Rosing for, I don't know, probably since lockdown, probably since this time 4 years ago. Like we're all on this weird loop. So she has been posting of recent that she's in hiding and that she's the key and that, and then Brittany Pickle Spears from our chat. Let me find this other thing.
It's still Brittany on the screen, just so you know.
I know. I'm finding the pic. We can stare at Brittany forever around here. 1202.
You know, other channels are talking about Brittany now.
Huh?
A lot of other channels are starting to talk about Brittany now.
Well, they should. It's about time everybody gets it. And the schizophrenia and words we're not allowed to say, but Thomas has all this stuff. You can go to his page and find about Chrome and la 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 Adrena.
Adrena.
I know. But here's this. So from the aerial view, this is the Vatican. And shout out to Brittany Pickle Spears. So it looks like a key. And the Pope is like, I'm opening these portals, blah, 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 blah. And maybe it's doors or something they tell us about, which from above too. Look at all the symbolism just from this. It's like, who knows what's going on this Epstein inland. But if the portals are also inward, like all the things we're talking about with, Russian dream hacking and being able to see in the past, present, future in the same time, and all these other next level of things, or even DMT and salvia and yada, yada, yada. Brittany's like, I'm the key. Is this an opening to a key? Are they opening a portal? Is there some kind of star date, like to date we're talking about? Or this is Dionysus's birthday. It just seems like everything.
Well, her most recent post too, after you kind of started theorizing all this with the Da Vinci Code and all that, the post that she did with Brad Pitt, she had two. When you swiped through it, she had two things in there. One was a Bible verse about wearing a crown, and then the next one was about being a queen. I'm like, she's confirming Chaney's theory here.
And there's something too about, like, y'all, this is just how I look at the world. It is bigger than you think. The people that are like, you're insignificant, you're dust on dust on dust, floating through infinity. To me, it's like we're all on this little OA journey. We're all on this little like cicada journey. And there is clues laid out to those who want to look for it everywhere. I just think everything is it's how, if you look at the Da Vinci codes, that's how it is. If you watch Indiana Jones, it's how it is. And I don't remember, it's one of you guys that you're like, there's always three meanings. The one the public sees, the one that's the like esoteric, and then there's one for the people who really want to look. I don't know,
I feel
or
like
something like that.
Because I've heard recently that there's essentially three realities. There's the reality of Earth that's supposed to be in its organic state, that's based on like the base 12 algorithm. And that's the highest possible timeline, right? But then there's the reality that we're in, what they call the net reality. And it's distorted with the dark forces and stuff like that. But you have the bleed through of both, like the good and the bad. And then there's the lowest reality. So it's the three of it all as well. But I feel like it's there if you want to see it. Like the good is there if you want to see it. The bad's there if you want to see it too. It's a war over our consciousness.
Or even how Layla was talking about all these celebrities go through this bleach blonde phase and then they come back from rehab or from wherever and they're like, whoop, I'm a whole different person. Like I'm a whole different, like, stare off into the whatever. I don't know. It's just like, what are they up to? These rando people just go meet with the Pope. What? Well, who is the Pope? And then one Pope gets brought down like they're a corporation for real, like Pope Benedict, that creepy fuck, where they're like, okay, they're on to us about the child the touching of the kids and shit, and just moving around like we're bad cops. We just move different precincts instead of ever doing anything. And we have our own cops inside. This is another thing where people are like, did you know Jews have their own cops in a part of New York? Catholics? Look what
Disney.
they've been up to. They just been move their person to a whole nother fucking church and just move. We got this, officer. We'll take care of it inside the church.
Dude.
I don't know. Dude, there's some crazy things that go on with these certain religions, and all these religions that we're talking about all seem to reside in New York City. New York City.
That's the real religion. It's like whatever's happening in New York is the religion, and that gets disseminated into all the other like actual religions.
Like the Hollywood of religion.
This was something too that Heidi pointed out to me, that the Mormon temple, the Mormons, they went to the Vatican and basically got like buy off on them to put up, not in Vatican City, but very close by, a huge Mormon temple right outside of the Vatican too. So like there's almost like a merging of these two. And imagine if the money and the power of the Mormon church combined with the Catholic church, this could actually be like a whole new thing that's not just like a little flash in the pan religion.
It is off topic, but it should be said. Layla, your hair does look amazing tonight.
All natural, baby. It's all natural.
Abbie, your hair looks amazing too tonight.
For real though, I honestly feel like all these elites are just psychopaths. It's just like they are like so psycho that they believe in this character so hard that they transform themselves into this whatever their belief is about themselves. And it works. That's the magic. They become this character and we go along with it. I don't know who the fuck these people think they are, but they think they are something, and that magic of them believing that they are something. And then we just like, oh, look at that costume. Oh, he's the Pope. Okay, cool. That's the president. That's an officer. That's an army guy, Navy, this, that, all these different costumes that everybody wears. And these costumes are what give these people the character and then the authority.
But like Michael Jackson in his costume, that's why he was like a general of some space army you have never seen. He was like, you don't,
Captain EO.
Who the fuck do they think they
What
are?
you were saying about Mormonism and like the Mormon temple right there, like next to the Vatican, that is the beauty of the Mormon religion that nobody understands, is that with them all being Latter-day Saints, there's a prophet in every church, at least one. And so like they can continually evolve and change their doctrine.
Well, every year they get together and they decide what the new thing's going to be, and that's
So if
sort
they're
of what
combining with Catholicism, that would be definitely something they can do.
that's what the Catholics been doing. Except the Catholics take way longer to put out these papal. I mean, depending on the Pope, but they almost have it as like a presidency. But the Mormons, they actually have it scheduled. That basically every year they get together and they revise what the rules are, and they can even go back and like rewrite, history. It makes them very adaptable. They also acknowledge space. There's not many religions on the planet that acknowledge space at all. Whether or not you think it's real or not, it's like it makes them novel.
Isn't there cities in like Hindu religions, like golden cities in space, and in Eastern religions where it's like old time floating cities that are in the clouds? There's a name for it. Probably Ash.
This is like sidereal mythology, like their version of astrology, which I think has like slightly different months assigned to all of the different like astrological signs. But I think their version of space was like an astrological version of space, whereas the Mormons are like, we're literally gonna leave this planet and go to another planet after we die and rule from it.
It's levels
like
to this shit.
Scientology a little bit.
There's levels to this shit. I'm telling you.
I mean, you can make a strong argument that Scientology and Mormonism share very similar roots in like this this occultist, like alchemical sort of philosophy. Like they both kind of, one of them went the Crowley route, one of them went the Joseph Smith route.
What is it, Layla?
It's just wild. This realm is fucking wild, dude. It's a miracle, honestly. It's weird. It's fucking crazy. It's a miracle. It's beautiful. I love the chaos. I love the madness. I love it. We take it too serious.
It is kind of wild how, like, let's say it's 100% everything they say. Like every single thing that we know about the world, the news tells us. Even if it's just that, and pandas and giraffes, and they shoot up rockets to the moon,
And Joe Biden is awake right now, signing some kind of government stuff.
Bill
Like
and people in Congress are sweating because they're not going to get a raise. Like even if it's entirely what they tell us, like they just build these great ships that are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're like, we can put a whole entire hotel on the ocean now if we want to. Like, you think the Titanic was big? Like, it's just like whatever the thing is. I don't know. It's almost like that. Oh my gosh, I wish I could be a bird. Why would you want to be a bird? You could actually create yourself wings to fly. Like anything you want to do, you can make that thing. Like essentially, we're all kind of Iron Man. Everything you want to do out there now, if you know how to look for it, there's those blueprints if somebody has at least started that idea.
You don't got to be a bird, man. You could be a human.
Yeah, you don't got to be a bird. You can be Birdman. You can be Michael Keaton. If you haven't seen Birdman, it's such good cinematography. It's so nerdy.
Everything is reflection. Because without reflection, you can't look back at things and kind of understand it. So everything's just like a reflection of ideas and thoughts and fucking create. It's weird. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all.
They say driving and in the shower is where the biggest and best ideas usually come to people. And a lot of the times when people are even writing a song, usually most of the best songs that you know, or the catchiest songs or whatever, came to people like that. They didn't sit there forever and have to slave away and tune it here and tune it there. They were just like, oh my God, I hear all the parts of it. Like they just had to put it together. It's almost like the ideas are all just floating out there all the time. And you just have to have gumption. It's like, I used to be like, you'd walk in the store and you'd see something and you'd be like, oh, that's my $1 million idea. Like it's like brand new now on TV. And you're like, that
I just thought
is my idea. I have the things, I have the whatever. But then you're like, oh, I didn't have the gumption. Somebody at the exact same time I got the idea, somebody else got the idea and they just ran with it. And that's how long it took it to get to shelf. Huh. And now I'm not mad about it. I'm like, okay, I have $1 million ideas. It's just validation. It's not just one idea.
This is another one of those Rosicrucian concepts that like they didn't invent it. They just put like a name on it and taught a specific version about desire forms and thought forms and physical forms and how it like goes through these different phases. And that's actually one of the things where AI does get a little bit scary, that if you believe that desire forms are real, then that means that AI could potentially sort of like cut in line, where like now the desire forms don't need a human in order to bring them into physical reality. Almost like this Akashic Records. If the Akashic Records is just like this library of all these desire forms before they turn into thought forms. And like the concept of a desire form is like one of the bad examples is like a sailboat, right? Like the very first sailboat ever, did a person create the entire concept, or did it come to them in the form of this desire form, and that like a sailboat wanted to be made, and then it made itself known to someone that was capable of understanding what it was and could make it, so then it becomes their thought form. But the desire form predates any like human intervention. So like all these weird desire forms are kind of floating out there. So yeah, if like AI can detect these desire forms and then immediately put it into sort of like material progress, or like it kind of like cuts us out of the entire equation.
So going back to the idea that the dream space is the Akashic, though, which it doesn't just have the history of the everyone in the Akashic. It's everything else that's never happened and never will happen. It's every possibility. So if the dream space is this thing, then that's where all ideas come from, essentially. And it doesn't mean that you actually have to be dreaming. It's just that that's like another realm that we all have access to. So whether you're conscious or not, like when you're in a flow state or when you're in a meditative state, you're have access to this space. And that's why, like, when one person has a scientific discovery on this side of the planet, somebody else has a breakthrough in the same exact field out like within a day or two on the other side of the planet. And it's weird that they're researching the same thing and they have the same breakthrough. But if you think of the dream space as not a library as everybody's thinking, the Akashic, if you think of it more like a big old map, like if you're looking at a map on a video game. And so let's say like not all territories on the map are open. Like on World of Warcraft, you had to like travel into a realm far enough to open up the little areas on your map. So if that area isn't open yet because nobody has traveled into that area, then those downloads aren't available yet. But once somebody breaks into that area of the Akashic, then it's open to anyone who's looking for it.
I don't know if you've ever read the book Ready Player One. I know there was like
Yeah,
a Steven
I've read it.
Spielberg movie.
It's great.
But the book, that's how the book works too. They didn't explore this in the movie, but in the book, everyone's like looking for these hidden spots where these challenges are at, and like there goes for like years will go by, like 3 or 4 years, and no one has found anything new, and they're all just kind of searching, and then one person will find this like dungeon or whatever. And then all of a sudden, everyone's there because that one person found it. It's kind of it's the exact same analogy.
And that's a reality transurfing concept. Like that's the way they explain the quantum field because the quantum field is really just the dream space, which is the Akashic record.
Do you think at all, we say
It's
that
more of a
nothing
map,
new under
a
the
memory, call it.
sun, like nothing new under the sun idea, but do you think even in like the vastness of whatever it is, even if you're like the vastness of heaven, the vastness of the realm, the vastness of the simulation, whatever it is, do you think it is an idea of it's a render as you go idea? Shout out to Human Vibration, where in the video game, like as you walk to the edge, it's foggy. And
Yeah.
as you walk to the edge, it kind of like renders before you. But in a way, do we have so much control? We hear about manifestation or thoughts become things or this kind of reality. Do you think there's like, in a way that it either wants to steal it from us, the AI, so that we can't render, it wants to almost connect to us. It's like, oh my gosh, they're all waking up. I have to connect to them before they realize it. Or is it like how people are like, they won't let us to the ice wall, or we're on a flat earth, an infinite plane, but they won't let us. Do you think it's all rendered already? Or do you think it's waiting to be rendered by us?
I think it all exists, but we get to we have the ability to choose. That's why it's foggy in front of you, because you don't choose the way you get there. You choose the destination. You see what I'm saying? So it's there for anybody who wants to access it. There is nothing new in that sense. So your brilliant idea, your brilliant breakthrough, your brilliant art, your brilliant song, it was never exactly yours. You are the first person to freaking bring it into this world, though, from the other side.
You're like the mother of it. You brought it into
Yeah,
existence.
you
You brought it
birthed it.
into matter.
Yes.
So you brought it
That's
into
exactly it.
water.
You brought it. You became the portal for it.
Isn't it weird how, for real, how you get a new car and everyone has your car all of a sudden? You're like,
Yeah.
what the? I never even seen this car before. I tried to be original, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden this car's everywhere. And there's that whole idea that thing can't exist in your universe at all until you know it's real. I don't like the comparison of like the people, they couldn't see the boats because they'd never seen boats before. They would have seen it. Even if they
saw
didn't
it.
know what it was, they would have
Yeah.
seen it.
You'd be like,
It
what
wouldn't have
the
been
fuck is that?
invisible. And
If I don't know
so,
what something is, what do you say? What the fuck is that? You don't
yeah,
just not see it.
but I do think there is something to the concept of like something being existent in your reality, almost like you're calling toward it. Like it's almost like an idea, like how Thomas was just saying, like some ideas just want to be brought into the world as a whole, like the first guy who created a sailboat, or some ideas just want to be brought into your world where it's like you could have been like, I've been dreaming about the 67 Mustang since I was a kid. Like I knew I was going to have this, and one day you like manifest this thing. But is it that, or whatever part of your life that's there, like it was always going to be there? There's no changing it. It was always coming. Like you are always just saw it there. I don't know. It's like the
But I don't
Ouroboros
think
thing.
it's fate. But I don't think it's fate necessarily. I think it's still choosing, because if you saw the 67 and you wanted it, like, or you were like, I'm gonna have that someday, then you created that reality. Because, like, if you okay, so going back to the dream space of it all, like, if you have pure intention and this is not desire or want, it's like, I'm gonna have it. Like, your subconscious or your heart is actually going off ahead, because it'll mark the spot on the map for you. So it already has that freaking destination planned for you. So it's not that it's fate, it's that you chose that reality. And so it's like it's dropping a pin for you, and then you get there, eventually you get there.
I know. Did you choose it? Or you have to get there with all the things, because all the things it took in your life for you to chase that car and finally sit in that car, what was the moment that created it, and then everything in between all had to work precisely so that Layla's manifestations also could come to play, and so could Thomas's, and so could mine, and so
Yeah.
could like our ups and downs, because
It's
that's
woven, right?
yeah,
Well,
in a weird
unless
way.
you created that car from scratch by hand, then chances are it was marketing that really brought you there.
Chances are that's just your MK
Plan it
Ultra.
into your subconscious though, and you marked that spot on the map. So whether it was marketing or not.
Do you guys believe in like in a pendulum swinging type way of like certain days or things or groups of people that, where people are like, everything's so good, I just am waiting for a shoe to drop? Like, or I gave too much good energy, like Layla, how they'll be like, oh, your baby's so cute, too, 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 too. It's like, do you think that there is some kind of thing like you got to work and you hit your knee on something, it's like the energy wants you to just, this is going to ruin your night. But instead, it's like, no, all the bad stuff's out tonight. You did the thing already. It's going to flow. Do you think there's like a balancing of energy of like good stuff and bad stuff that happens to you?
I want to believe, but I don't. I don't believe that that's how it works, because otherwise, describe like George Soros.
Well, that's just us assuming that money is the thing. Like that's just us, that's just the currency he could gather, so he's convinced us with his marketing that that's it, that's just good marketing too. Like everyone around him could hate him always, and that is like poor. It's just he's convinced us that his wealth is the thing. But I don't know. I don't know if people in the middle of like South America or Africa give a shit about George Soros or even know who he is or think they like.
Like who?
Well, I guess what you're really asking though is like, does karma exist, right? But there's been plenty of people that have done, which seems like ostensibly just bad things over and over and get rewarded. So I think that might also be one of the biggest pulls of religion, is a way for everyone to feel like, hey, even though that guy seems like he's got it all made, he's burning in hell. Like at least I'm not burning in hell like that guy's gonna be burning in hell. I think there's like some solace in that, to think that everyone's gonna get what's coming to them,
Well,
which is like a very alluring aspect of it.
maybe those people who are doing the bad and getting the good are somehow figuring out how they could pass it on to the future generation of their bloodline and not them absorb that karma.
I like that. Yeah.
Well, that's what people, I mean, look at the generational healing of things. And so they're passing it on, passing it on, passing it on. But eventually, do you think it's going to be a good thing to walk around as Bill Gates' kid or George Soros's kid or whoever you name? I don't think it will be. Like, I already think,
I
like,
mean,
ooh, are we already watching the swing of that?
look at
Like,
Biden's son. Like, come on.
where the Rockefellers, like, even in this country, like, a lot of the times, I feel like the FBI was created because, like, outside the Rothschild or outside the Rockefeller house, they set up a pipe bomb. And they were
Mm.
like, we need somebody to look into this. It can't just be these pudgy mudge cops.
I love how you
How I say
Pejimoj.
it because mine's like a penguin.
I love that you say it though. It's so awesome. It's such a great word. Pejimoj on the
it's
timeline.
perfect.
Pujimoj?
Yeah, it's so
Pejimoj.
perfect.
Pujimoj.
Pejimoj.
I like Layla's words because I grew up with a lot of Italians and Jewish people around me that Yiddish from New Yorkers that were around me, and I always just thought they were the funniest fucking words.
Uh-huh.
Like Layla, come over here. You got schmutz on your face. Like
Uh-huh.
what?
Uh-huh.
Like Layla's walking around yapping like a yenta, and she has schmutz on her face.
Yeah, we'll just say you have a kimut nftir. But like schmutz, but we say mut, like you have shit on your face.
Yeah. I just always like these like weird New
I
Yorky
love it.
slang words that like
A-
all my
a
friends from Long
clem.
Island, if they're from Long Island, their grandmas have words, and every
Mhm.
once in a while they'll come out in them, and I'm like, I
You
like it.
kafsh, you fucking animal, you fucking kafsh.
Thomas, did you hang out with Rye this week?
Oh yeah, we hung out. We went and got some Cajun food and talked about all the places you can live in Florida. And I almost felt bad because I was thinking of like where would I recommend someone live in Orlando? I don't know if I would at all. And so I like hearing them outside of Orlando. Like here's Claremont, here's Winter Haven, here's anywhere other than Orlando proper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a real thing. But yeah, if you don't know what Thomas and I are talking about and you're one of the people tuning in on any of the platforms, Real Rye or Die is always in our chat over on Project Chaney hanging out. He's one of the rad people, and he also comes to and hangs out with us IRL at like Bohemian Grove. So shout out to Ryan. I hung out with him in my neck of the woods, and
You guys have a good time?
yeah, it was nice. I drove him around, but I'm like, I would live over here. I would live over here. I would live over here. The people are good here. These are good people. Like, I just feel like when you think you want to live in the middle of nowhere, it's because wherever you're from, you're like, these are some incapable, scary people. If shit hits the fan, we're all goners around here, and then they're coming for my shit. But if you live in certain places where you look around and you're like, gosh, look at all these capable folk just doing the damn thing. And then they have enough time. Like they're not stressed all the time. They have their little toys and their little parades and their boats and their things. But they're also like, they have their generators and their gardens and their chickens and they know what's going on. It's like, I don't know. I just feel like you don't necessarily have to live in the middle of nowhere if the people around you don't suck.
Yeah.
You are
I
not
agree.
allowed to have chickens in Orlando proper. Just a fun
That's
fact.
why I moved away from New York City, like a refugee.
New York City.
Yeah.
Sorry.
New York City, excuse me.
Twice. You made me laugh.
New
the
York
first time.
City, correction. I was seeking refuge. I was like, fuck this shithole. I'm out. Fuck Rat City. Rat City, bitch. Rat City.
It's like a different world though. Like New York City is a completely different world than anywhere else on the planet, but especially you just like go to another city adjacent. But I think part of that is that you would literally never really have to leave New York City to do anything that you wanted to do unless what
It
you
sucks
wanted to
you
do
in.
was get away from the city.
It sucks you in. I hate it. Never again.
It's almost like to my brain now, like having all of life to look back from at. New York City was always like a rave to my brain that I could just pick one part of town and just sit there for hours. Like I'd never seen so many people in all my life. And I always like that saying that if you sit in New York long enough, you'll see yourself walk by.
Chaney,
And
you have all different parts of the world in New York. You have Chinatown, you have Little Russia, you have Little Italy, you have Little Albania, you have Little Romania, you have Little Jewtown, you have it all. You have Little Ecuadorian town. They're all like in
I
these weird
pictured like Lollipop Guild,
groups.
just little tiny
Glorious
tendrils,
Greece.
cute little hats, like we are Little Jewtown.
I'm telling you, it's bizarre. Little India.
But it's almost like you see like certain neighborhoods, like different families had to keep neighborhoods clean, or what was allowed in the neighborhood or to be sold in the neighborhood. And then of that, mafias get set up like, oh, we got to keep it in this family because every time that family fucking does it, they always try to move in. Always eventually becomes about money. We don't have a deli in town. Like they do these, like you could see how it would be battling like for neighborhoods. Yeah, there's gangs in New York too. There's the part that there's like the fist that like we got to make this, this part, and no more of these dirty people are allowed to bring their ideas into here. And so it's just crazy that New York kind of still represents that in all these years later.
Mm-hmm. It's wild.
Like, and it's just new, like whatever the new group is another new group. Like all the Irish are fighting. These new Irish aren't allowed here. And then they look over and they're like, is that some Asians getting off the boat? And then they're like, the Asians aren't allowed here. And then they're all sitting here and they're like, that better not be some black people getting off the boat. Oh, they're not allowed here. It's just like kept adding, like, is that some Albanians getting off the boat? Mm-hmm. No, they're not allowed here. It's kind of funny. It's like such an interesting place. I always think it's so crazy that every other country in the world, the people of that place usually just look like that. Like, oh, you're Brazilian. You look Brazilian. Like people look that. But if you're American, for real, every single thing on the planet. Mm-hmm. Every single thing. It's like how Thomas just said, it's like New York is the religion that really disperses out. It's almost like New York really has every single type of person on the whole entire planet there. And then it just disperses out from there into their own countries.
Is New York a good example of a melting pot or a bad example? Like if you had a country that was a true melting pot, wouldn't that just be like a huge country that's just like New York City, which is different than New York State? Like, couldn't be any more different.
It's wild how different.
England became that.
England became that?
Yeah, they're a melting pot. More than ever now with all the mass migration. Same as here. I mean.
Do you think, and didn't France give us our Liberty Bell? That never worked. Piece of shit. Why do we even have it? I'm going to tell you. I would take that Liberty Bell and put it right in a cannon and shoot the Statue of Liberty's head off with it.
Didn't they give us the Statue of Liberty too?
They did, yeah.
Yes, that's where I'm saying we got this colossus-headed, weird sun star god thing holding like a torch, which is Olympic. Look at what they have in the Olympic all the time with the Dionysus all the time is this running torch. And they're like, look at you guys, it's liberty. But it looks just like this Columbus statue that used to be at all the world's fairs. It's so weird to me. Like, is it Colossus? Is it the Statue of Liberty? What's going on? And then this Liberty Bell, this piece of fucking shit Liberty Bell that's literally never worked. If like the only thing that should have a crack in it is your butt.
Yeah, not a bell.
Not your bell. If it doesn't work, let's keep this because France gave it to us as a gift, hoarder.
Sure.
It doesn't work.
Out of all the things you want to keep that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it makes me like irritated, this crack in this bell. And they even tried to show us and make it a whole one of the things where they were like, look at all the people that are protesting Palestine. They just painted all over the Liberty Bell. Mm-hmm. I don't know. God. I just think, who gives a shit? Give me a bell that works. So China takes away all their bells. Everywhere takes away their bells. But guess what else in time travel that you need? A clock tower with a bell in it. I don't know why I don't make the rules.
88 miles per hour.
Well, also, the traditional bells, those were the original sort of like alarm systems for entire towns in order to let everyone know, like, hey, something's about to go down, get out of your houses. So the removal of bells is also removing the ability for, someone to sound the alarm or communicate at scale. It forces you to rely on a different mechanism in order to talk to your neighbors, essentially.
Dinner's ready.
Even school bells aren't even a thing. Like, school bells aren't even real anymore. It's just like a little ding, ding,
it's a little digital chime.
It's a digital chime. They got rid of all the bells.
Dude, they're energy
Why is
cleanses. They
that?
even show that us with X-Men, the what's it, the goo one? The goo, the black goo Viper, whatever was his name? The black X-Men?
Viper.
Yeah. So apparently to get the goo off of him or that entity,
Oh yeah,
who was it?
bells.
Yeah,
It,
he
the
put the
vibration.
yeah, he put all those fucking metal rods in the ground and he started banging on them and they all started vibrating like fucking bells and chimes. And that entity was coming off of that guy. So it was like an energy cleanse.
It
And
was
that's
like
what
the
they were
Vril
for.
couldn't have it.
Before a meal, dinner's ready. Everyone
In a
We need to
ring the
get
bell
chime.
bells.
outside.
Y'all need to have
School.
a bell with your gold and silver, man.
Well, look at teachers. They used to all have bells on their desks next to their apple.
Dude,
It
I
was
had
like,
one of the little ding 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 bells. Like,
or even
Ding.
that. Like it used to be
Venom.
ding
There you
ding.
go. Venom.
Venom,
What the
Viper.
hell did a
I said
teacher use
Viper,
an
not
actual
Viper.
bell for? Were they the one ending and
so you don't
starting
have to.
class?
No, it's so you don't have to scream at your class to shut them down, to like quiet them
Is that the
sometimes.
original use for the bell? Was just to get all the kids to shut up?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I
So it
would think
cleanse the
so,
energy.
just as a teacher when like I seriously had one of those little like cashier bells, and like there's other ways you can silence your class, but sometimes those things just don't work. Like they're just out of control. So you just gotta a bell work.
Bellwether is a big thing in like all of uh that witching stuff, like
Bell
harmonics
Atlantic.
and
Remember
bells controlling the weather.
Bell Atlantic. Guys, remember that? The telephone company?
Southern
We
bells.
were
They all used to be
Pacific
even
Bell.
called bells. Yeah.
Ma bell, yeah.
And our phones used to ring like a
Bring.
chime inside, like a big heavy chime inside where it was ringing a bell.
Well, because it had the little bell inside of it. If you're
Yeah, but there was all different phones. They all had
Even our
bells.
clocks.
Yeah, our alarm clocks were bells.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, and from Alexander Graham Bell, who's the one that made the phone that rang, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why it freaked me out. I was like, what is that behind me? Oh, it's a face. That's freaking me out. Yeah, I feel like they've ripped them off everything. And then the only bell we got was from Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast.
Off to
Bell.
the cupboard with you now, Chip. It's past your bedtime.
Which is a really horrific story. I always like to point out that the Beauty and the Beast, the original Beauty and the Beast, was written to sort of gently break to your like 12 or 13-year-old daughter why you're sending them off to live with this like 40-year-old man that doesn't
The Tale of
shave.
Layla.
That was sort of, yeah, it was the story of Layla was Beauty and the Beast essentially, but it was a way to make them feel better about it. Like maybe there's a prince deep
He
down
wasn't a
under all of
prince.
that.
No.
And they
Just do
but I'm
enough
gonna be so
dishes.
lonely in the castle.
prince,
It's
he was the
okay.
devil.
Talk to the teacup.
Right? Seriously.
Just take a little drugs
talk to the
and
coffee
talk
cup.
to the talk to the coffee cup. You'll be fine.
Saved by the Bell. That gives that a whole new meaning, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Zach Morris. Queen.
I know, man. But
Time
yeah.
out.
I know, Layla, put that away. If we were in the same room together and across the table, like at a podcasting desk, I would push that right off the desk.
Guys, listen what we're going to manifest as a group. I open my
Uh-oh.
wallet when I wake up in the morning and I have like $500,000 in there because I invested like in the long hold, okay? That's what we're going to manifest. And then I'll give some out.
I like it.
Why the fuck not?
I'm into that.
Your friend did.
I'm into everybody just waking up and just being like,
My friends did.
what? But I would like it in their bank accounts. I don't care whatever way they have it. I would like if they went and dig up their treasure trove out of the yard or whatever map they have it in, that they're like, oh my gosh, there's 8 times the amount in this treasure than I put in here.
Uh-huh.
But it is if it wasn't being manipulated. All the metals are being manipulated so bad on us, but everything's being manipulated. Everything. I just feel like it's a loose harvest on a next level, and it's this time of year. We're in a Dionysus festival.
Mm-hmm. I concur.
Dionysus is blue god. No, it's weird. Is Dionysus Frosty the Snowman? I don't know. That whole claymation thing's a little creepy with Rudolph. Um,
That's
The
my
Island
favorite
of Misfit
snowman.
Toys.
can I tell you another weird fucking thing? And it's a little triggering, but it's kind of funny. So you know that song, "Hark to the bells, mini mini me,
Yeah.
mini me, beep beep boop 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 boop." If you guys, whatever words you want to sing in that tone, if we all started singing, it doesn't matter when you come in. It doesn't matter if you're tone deaf. It doesn't matter if you don't know about rhythm. It doesn't matter if you don't know about beat. Anyone, it doesn't matter if there's 1,000 people and they all start 1/1000th off of each other with different beats. It doesn't matter if you want to be like, this is 432 hertz and this is 440, whatever things you want to do. The more people that sing that silly fucking song, the better it sounds. And you can just come in wherever. You don't have to sing the right words. You don't have to, you just have to stay in beep boop 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 beep boop boop beep. And you could, it's so wild to me. It's almost a trance.
369.
It's have you ever heard that played in bells though? Like I actually watched a performance where they
So
actually
damn
were
fun.
playing the bells and did that song and it was freaking awesome. Because what's it called? Something of the bells, Carol of the Bells, or something like that.
I love.
What did you just say?
Huh?
I've actually heard that like
But what
live.
group did you say?
Oh
Did you
no,
say
the
a
name of
group?
the song.
Oh, okay.
No,
Dude, I was trying to find it
no,
today
I was
to
just
find the lyrics because I'm like, am I
there.
writing this right? I feel like I'm having a Mandela effect of what this song's called. And there was some group that is grown people, like 4 men and a lady, and there's something tronics where they don't sing with any kind of music. They just are a cappella. And I remember at some point in my periphery of my head that them being a deal. But it's them doing this like some kind of version of something the bells. And th- seeing these grown people sing a cappella and stare at the camera, it was so uncomfortable. Like eventually I just had to turn, like, get it off. Get it off. I don't care what's on the screen next. Like I'd rather watch a like Fauci commercial because I got uncomfortable. Like if friends just started to sing at a party and made us all watch and then made a dead eye contact with us and like reached out to you,
Like,
Thomas, like it would make me like
Like,
viscerally.
it was like the PR campaign for Wicked. Like if they were your friends.
Dude, they pushed that so hard.
Who the hell is the Tubular Bells guy?
Mike Oldfield.
Oh, okay.
I do think bringing back Christmas caroling, but doing it year round with just random songs would be awesome. Like if there was just groups that were like, we're gonna go to this neighborhood and they just sat it out in your house, like, gonna make a change for once in my life. But that was just like springtime and they were like, whatever. And then they like, all 7 and we'll watch them fall. And Layla's like,
hey,
ching ching, stand in the way. I love-"
when we start our cult, let's just start caroling.
That's part
Let's
of our
do that.
religion.
That's part of our religion.
Year-round caroling. Like we don't try to sell our religion. We just come to your house and sing pop songs. Like, but
Yep.
sometimes it will be like, oh, it's Wednesday and it's after work day. We're like, we're gonna go out and it's like we all just like a cappella Marilyn Manson. Like something so like what? But there's no rhyme or reason to what it's like it's just some punk rock like misfit song.
I
They're
love it.
like, what is
I'd vote for
happening?
Tiny Tim. We all start doing in the garden.
Ukuleles.
Yeah, everyone gets a ukulele.
Ukulele is really easy to learn how to play too, by the way.
Can you imagine though, just everyone's like if it was just normal that you just heard like 16 adults out front of your house, or you could put like, oh, a white bag with a candle in it out front of your house. And that meant like you didn't know, maybe you do it every night because you didn't know when the carolers would come. But if that bag wasn't there, they wouldn't come. And so it just became a thing that every night people would put a bag with a candle in it out front because that would be cool.
Uh-huh. So cool.
And then you might get the carolers come and they would just sing like it could be modern. I don't know. Maybe they'd be like, "Baby, you're a firework. Come on, show them what you're worth." And you'd be like sitting on your couch watching Real Housewives at 9. Like, is this happening right now? But it would just be normal that you'd get up, kids. The carolers are here, and they'd sit outside and you'd like drink hot cocoa. But it's like August.
Love it.
Those would be different songs. They'd be like. Summer, summertime. Sorry. No, if we're gonna manifest Layla's wallet be big, let's go bigger. Go.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's all
Year
part
I
of
round
love the
Carolyn.
way you're thinking. Donate Bitcoin to me, please. If you want my wallet number, hit me up next. Bitcoin, please. Thank you.
You want Bitcoin? That's the one.
No, but if they want to send it to me right now, I'll take it.
Any of them.
Yeah, any of
She'll
them.
take any of the cryptocurrencies. Anyone
Mhm.
will.
Yeah.
Or you can go over to
Send 'em over. I'll
paranoidamerican.com.
invest and then I'll
Do
split
you
the.
accept cryptocurrencies as a payment form, Thomas, on paranoidamerican.com? If I
I
were to go
don't.
there and get the Illuminati
Fiat
comic?
only. You have to be fully bought into the beast in order to fight your way back out.
Credit. You're like, we only
Credit.
want your inside bank number and PIN and
I want
expiration
your
date.
actual fiat currency because I intend to defile it, and I can't really defile crypto as easily.
Is there
Define defile.
laying in a bed naked?
No, I just put a little stamp that says "Your president lives here" on the back of all the bills.
I know. I still think that's the best thing that people, those little things when people write stuff on money. I'm like, kudos, kudos.
I asked
Oh,
one of
shit.
Elon's friends to send me Bitcoin under his comment. I was like one of the first comments, like, send Bitcoin, please. Thank you. Not really. But, ask and you shall receive, right? Wink, wink.
Well, and if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So
There you go. Might as well just
Yeah,
throw
you
it.
never know. Yeah.
No.
You're one of those people that bought into Bitcoin 20 years ago and you're like a Bitcoin billionaire.
Hey, you don't
You
know what to
can
do. Fuck
throw
it.
the good
Just-
guys.
Just send it over.
But look at Layla.
You already know, Chaney.
That's so fucking funny.
You know the kind of witch I am.
I know. It's so silly. I don't even want to tell. We'll talk about it on Sunday
don't
night,
wanna
that
talk
part.
about
Well,
it.
yeah,
I'm
no
like,
crypto transactions aren't private, but neither is cash because cash is all microchipped now. So
Mhm.
it doesn't really matter. So is your debit card.
so isn't
So are you.
Everything you spend money on is tracked. It
So
doesn't
are
matter which way you're doing it.
micro
However,
dust
you're
breather.
using your currency, it's tracked.
Was it Smart Dust? Smart Dust is everywhere. We're all microchipped, y'all.
Allegedly.
Smart dust. Allegedly. Smart dust.
Research Smart Dust.
Nanotechnology is wild. And this is comfortably over a decade ago where I was reading an article in like one of those science magazines where they're like, technology is getting to a point that it's every year it's easily twice as fast and half as small. And they already had nanotechnology then, or half the
Yeah.
size and twice as fast. So it's just like when you're like, smart dust, that's such a crazy idea, but it's not. It's like the
No.
people that kind of laugh at the idea like birds aren't real. Like no one's saying that all birds aren't real, but the idea that you think all birds are is wild. It's the same
Mhm.
way as thinking all people are real.
Mhm.
It's like all those people, like I remember reading a statistic once about like shadow ops and things like that. And it was like any group over 20, eventually the CIA wants involved in that. Like a
Huh.
group that meets regularly over 20 becomes dangerous.
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
even before 20, the CIA during the MK Ultra, some of their sub projects were literally about setting up children's summer camps and having them come from all over the world and monitoring them and having them come back like year after year and monitor like the progress between them, like literal children's summer camps. We're talking like 8 to 12.
Huh.
And a lot of the kids that ended up coming back end up becoming like CIA assets. So it was like a grooming school. Like they groomed them to become CIA agents and informants.
Wow.
Well, bugs too aren't real.
A lot of
Remember
bugs.
the freaking flies on the presidents? There's a company who actually is responsible for those flies that land on the president's
Because it makes
faces.
them look stupid as fuck.
Yeah.
Build
So
Bob.
it's legit. Like they
But
fucking
even that bird that landed on the podium for Bernie Sanders,
yeah, not
like,
It
real.
was a drone.
and it's so funny because they set up on Portlandia for you for the few years before, put a bird on it, and then they put a bird on Bernie's podium, and it was like, ooh, the wildfire of communism almost happened. Feel the burn. Little
I was expecting
mittens.
Eric Andre to jump out of somewhere, saying "bird up."
Bird up. What else is happening in the world, you guys? It's been a crazy kind of week. I feel like they're going to amp it up on us for the next few days.
Missing some news.
Well, they only have a few days left to do something big by the end of the year, right?
Yeah, I feel like we have all the way until they like that January 6th day is a big day for them with a ton of things. And so I also think all the way up until the 20th. What's going to happen?
What about this Mandela effect about the people who are on the ISS apparently, and how they already landed, but for some reason SpaceX had to go up there and get them? Some weird shit like that apparently was on the news. But everyone's talking about how those characters, these people, let me see if I could pull it up. You know, these people right there, that face, that lady right there. Apparently
Anne
they already
Frank?
That's what I thought too.
yo,
Was it not?
yo.
Is it
She
not
wearing a
Anne
Was it the
Frank?
other hat?
No, this is like one of those astronauts that were on the ISS, and apparently, well,
And
I
Frank's
legit
on the
thought you were.
ISS.
I thought you were showing me a picture of like they're
I
saying
did.
Anne Frank
I
like
did too.
married Amelia Earhart.
it's just
And they
some
live in a
wild
town.
shit. Wild shit. I don't know.
I don't know anything about the ISS. Oh, the lady that was up there forever, and they didn't know if they were going to be able to get her down before her resources ran out.
It's fucking fake.
I got sent to ISS all the time. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Me too.
It's pretty
School
boring, huh?
suspension was pretty dope.
In school suspension. That's so funny. Even
Mhm.
those acronyms, I'm like, they're so. It's like the BLM, the Bureau of
ESL.
Land Management.
ESL. What else was there?
I don't know. Isn't it funny even how they categorize like gifted? Like now looking at it, like I don't know. It was weird. Thomas said how the AI knew like certain things where it's like it would not get certain answers right on purpose and then figure out a reason to tell them why they didn't get it right because they should have gotten it right. I remember doing that in tests for gifted, like at like 3 and 4 years old. I didn't want to go to school yet. And it was like about tests about me starting early. And I had to go to this like weird series of tests. Me and Maya Maria, shout out to Maya Maria, always talk about these SATs, these ACTs, these weird gifted tests, the things you're pulled out for. And it's like, what are they really up to? And so I just didn't want to start school yet. And they were trying to start me into school 2 years early. And so I remember there was weird boxes of things. And I was just like, I'm going to put the wrong one. But then my OCD perfectionist little weird kid, I X'd out and then put the right one. But like I knew what I was up to, but I didn't want to do it. But it's like that computer thing where this computer has figured out, like we also talk about every single test. It doesn't matter the personality test. Who do you want me to be? I'm Miss Vivian. I'm going to get 100%. Whatever thing I'm supposed to do, like I'm going to ace that test. So if this test is like, oh, this test is trying to figure out who's a blank or this personality or what character you'd be in the Beauty of the Beast. I know all that's at CIA on Facebook, but I'm just saying, whatever the test is, I know it's like, I don't know how to honestly take the test. I'll LARP the test on who the test wants me to be. It's so weird.
Oh,
Anyway.
that's like the have you ever had to do one of the personality tests for like at a job interview? Before they hire-
Scientology.
Yeah. Well, It's like it's
Oh, those
stupid.
like INTP, the Briggs Myers stuff. You mean?
They'll ask you
Where
like
they're like, "Are you
questions
gonna steal a
like,
pencil? Would your
yeah,
friend steal a pencil? What about
yeah,
if you needed a pencil and accidentally left with it? Is it stealing? Would you consider taking a pencil home on a Wednesday
like
theft?"
how am I supposed to lie and get this answer
Jesus.
right? I don't
This is a
know what the
lot
right
about
answer. Yeah.
office material.
But come to
Here's a
find out, it's just like, would you always tell the truth? That's pretty much like the most important thing. Would you always like report that theft, more or less?
And if you answer yes, then you lied, right? Because there's no way that's
Well,
it's
that's what my head does. I'm like, I should answer because it's like scale of 1 to 5. I feel like I should just answer 3 or 4 on all of these.
You just go right down the middle of everything,
Yeah, like
and
why
then
should
you're
I?
like, "Oh, this person's even keeled."
Yeah,
Right
I
down the
don't even know
middle.
what a lie is.
Like a lie detector test, how they tell you like, "Oh, wiggle your toes the whole time or clench your butthole the whole time and
yeah,
you'll pass every lie detector because it mimics your heartbeat, and if you do it the whole time, it can't tell the difference of when you're lying or not."
I talked to someone recently that said that that's kind of not true, but that one thing that does work is that if you can train yourself to clench your butthole, if you can
that's
train yourself to do that, you don't need a tack, you don't need to do anything else special.
yeah. It
Just
was
Anus
that one
Kegels.
I'm
thing.
telling
Yeah.
you, I just said it.
yeah. That's what she
And
just
this is the
said.
weirdest part about it. This is the whole creepiest thing. It's a little, I'm sorry, this is just part of the magic. Thomas and I talking about clenching your butthole made you guys all clench your buttholes.
For sure. And but that was like because Penn and
It's the
Teller
same
did
as
a
talking about
whole
kegling.
episode
It's
on
like,
it.
uh-oh, I was just in all your undies and made you kegel.
Because the lie detector test,
Part of
like
my magic.
you
It's
guys should
lesbian
actually watch
magic.
that.
No comment. I was gonna say something. Never mind. Late night,
Penn and Teller
everybody.
did
Late
a
night.
whole lie detector test, like episode of their show Bullshit, and it was actually really good because that's where they talk about the butthole thing, but they go into how the actual lie detector test isn't even that part. It's before the interview before, where you not hooked up to the machine, so you're sitting there like just like, oh, so you probably have done this a couple times. Yeah, man. And then you get hooked up to the lie detector test, and then like that's not even the part. They get all the information from you before you even are hooked up to the equipment.
Yeah, they're baselining you the entire time, and that's the most
Yeah.
important reading.
Yeah.
That's when you should be clenching your butthole,
No, that's when
everyone.
you just shut your mouth and lie, and then you go to the other part and clench
You
your
go through
butthole.
everything and lie, but then that's why they ask you the shit at the beginning where they're like, "Is your name blank? Is your birthday blank? Is the president?" Like they ask you all these truths to be like you're reading, and then they're like, "Did you go to Mars?" And they get all these readings on like for you saying
Greenland.
no too.
Mars,
But
Greenland.
you guys, here's something weird that happened to me today, and I'll post it somewhere after we get off. I was taking it was after I do line up at my restaurant, and it's usually around the same time my wife does line up at her restaurant, where if you have a chef or they're going over the menu with you of specials, if you don't, for those of you that don't know, in restaurants, it happens at a certain time. Everybody kind of gets all this like wine knowledge, food knowledge during a period of time, and then you have this period of time that you just sit around and fucking wait. You sit around and clench your assholes until you have customers. And so during that time, me and my wife will text. And so she was texting me, and like I was like going to send her a picture of myself, and like Abbie right behind her, we have this like fake fireplace, this fake fire high at my work. So I was taking a picture of it up, and then right when I did, Elon Musk put a flame, and so I like screenshot it like the first picture of me, and then he did it, and then it took me a minute to screenshot my phone because at first I just hit the picture and it just took a picture of me. It didn't save it on there, so it's just like that kind of stuff that I feel like sometimes synchronicities are we all being inundated with synchronicities because of all these. I get notifications for shit I don't know. I don't even subscribe to these people like on any of my accounts, and I'll get a fucking weird ass notification for something like I don't subscribe to Democracy in America, Kamala Harris supporters.com. and it'll just be a banner that'll come across my screen like a notification. So sometimes I feel like with all these synchronicities in this world we're in and the digital connections of it all, how much of the algorithm's me and how much of me is the algorithm, or is it somewhere in Ouroboros now where it's just like, oh, my phone knew there was fire in the background and wouldn't have shown me that Elon Musk post at all if that didn't happen. Like my phone's getting better at reading the things. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because they're creating all different types of AI programs now that are collecting data through your cameras, through your microphones, through everything now. So they can actually predict. Like there's programs that can predict, let's say you're going somewhere, let's say I'm about to go to my job and there's barely any parking because it's spring break, but it'll calculate the time that I will get there, and with the people around there, it will feed the data in that area that I'm about to go to. It'll tell me, okay, there's somebody who's about to leave and they're probably going into the car. So you're going to have a parking space available if you get here at this time. So it'll collect data. Everyone's like a fucking big brother now, like interconnected with each
Yeah, we're
other.
next to each other in the store. It might even be strangers,
Hmm.
but all of our phones are in the same. It's almost like an artificial aura. I just keep feeling like where everyone's like, oh, it's going to be like in this woo woo way. Everyone's going to be enlightened and everybody's going to like all of our magical powers, our sentience, like our clairvoyance and our like being able to talk to each other without words and this kind of idea. It almost makes me feel like that's happening regardless, and technology's in a race to try to beat it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
That's what it feels like.
To suppress and hijack.
Yeah. Or you have to believe in it. Whether you're an alchemist, it doesn't matter what your religion is, it doesn't matter what your
Yeah.
faith is. You have to believe in it. So if you don't believe you can fly, you're never going to fly. And so if the computer can convince you that, oh, it's going to be messy if you try to fly out there, but in here, look how beautiful we can make it.
Yeah,
You can
if you
fly
don't believe
everywhere.
in Santa, then Santa doesn't bring you presents. That's kind of
It's
like
like
another version of this.
Or like the feather for Dumbo.
Well, in the belief way, they say like even an alchemist can't start any kind of anything in a lab until they believe in the outcome that's going to happen. They're not just let me just throw every chemical in my lab together and see what happens. They have a theory, they have a belief behind a thing. That's why they start to do it. So it's like not even faith take, but it is a faith take that mustard seed is just an eye of newt. And so in a spell, like the eye of newt, if you look it up, like everywhere that it ever looks like, or look up a mustard seed, it looks just like a newt's eye. So it would be like anything that you were trying to conjure, the first ingredient was always your mustard seed. It had to be your eye of newt. It has to be your belief first. So even if you were like, one day I'm going to drive a 67 Mustang, you have to believe that first.
Yeah, you do.
Like otherwise it's not you have to have the belief that you can do it or cannot succeed or become better at it before you even get out of your chair. You have to be like, I believe I can try this.
And not the belief in the sense that it can't be just faith. It can't be like, I believe I can do this. It has to be like, I know.
I know, but that's where it's like it's supposed to be like faith like a child. You're not supposed to question sometimes the outcome
Yeah.
of how it's going to happen. Like kids don't know. I don't know. My parents don't have any money in the world, but if I believe
Yeah.
in Santa Claus, I'm going to get this bike. They don't know both their parents are working 2 extra jobs and doing all this thing because of how much the kid believes in all the things that have to facilitate in that world. But a kid just knows because it is.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's like mortgage companies that just hire buildings full of believers that are like, we believe that these people are under our mortgage. We believe that they're going to pay us their money, right? It's all just like a war of who can get the most people to believe in something.
Well, that's what advertising is, right?
But advertising only takes a few people, just a few strategic people planting the right ideas at the right times.
Or the currency we're talking about, or any government system set up anywhere in the world. It's just a belief. It all just exists on a fairy tale idea because we believed it's backed by something. It doesn't matter what structure it is. It's because of a group belief in that thing, whether it's a coin on that was created in the next 5 minutes, or whether it's a currency that's been around 1,000 years. It's a collective belief on whether or not it's worth anything.
I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, whose just powers are derived by the consent of the governed. Yeah, it's all belief, like government, everything, the ideals of a nation, ideals.
You know what people should start doing and maybe see that maybe the magic will stop? When you're giving birth, ladies, why don't you just refuse a birth certificate and just not, you know, just be under the law of man, and God's law and not the law of these fucking corporations? What if that's a real fucking thing and we're just like, ha ha ha? But it's all contracts. When you make agreements, you're signing something, you're creating an attachment with your being. So what if people just stop that whole process? Like, you know what? I don't want a fucking birth certificate. I don't want to register this birth. I don't want a social security card. I don't want to be in the credit. What actually fucking happens? You probably actually find happiness and find true peace because you're not playing a part of this. And you have
I
no
feel like you gotta
attachments, no
play it.
contracts, no agreements with any entity but
I didn't have
the
a
one.
social security number until I was way later in life.
Well, yeah, they used to not like give it to you when you were born. It used to be when you applied for it later. So your parents usually applied for it at some point in your life. But now you get one when you're born. But the birth certificate itself, we live in this society where you have to prove that you're that child's parent, If we lived, in the
Because they
backwoods somewhere,
said
something would be
so.
fine. But, it's
Because
you
they
could be
said
running around
so.
with anybody. Right, but
It's so fucking annoying.
that also is your evidence for everyone else that that child is yours and that is not theirs,
I don't need that. Blood speaks for itself. You want to talk about science? You guys want to believe in science? Blood, baby. DNA, baby.
That
Protect
would
your
kind of
DNA.
suck though. Every time you had to like prove who you were, they're like, "Okay, we're gonna take some blood right now."
Yeah. I'd rather that real, actual fucking proof instead of like a piece of paper with a magic spell on
I don't
it.
know if I want the
Sigils.
Walmart greeter to take my blood on the way in and out of the store.
That's the sovereign way.
Phlebotomy.
That's what the fucking queen does. She has her thumbprint on fucking everything in blood, baby. Think I'm kidding? It's the truth. Like
But I
that's
think it makes sense for one person, but if everyone's doing that, that's a mess. Like
why
now there's a
her?
problem.
Why her though? Who the fuck is she? Why can't I? Why? I'm royalty. I'm a human being. You're royalty. Everybody's fucking royalty here, but they make us believe that we're fucking not, that we should be slaves to them. Who the fuck are they?
Did you guys hear about Russia coming out with a cancer vaccine or cancer
Yeah.
treatment? They're calling it like a vaccine, but it sounds like some kind of like alternative therapy, and he's making it available for free to everyone if they want it.
Yeah. And they're trying to fight against it.
Well,
I
I
don't
was
trust Putin any more than I trust any American politician.
well, any of the politicians. Like,
Period.
I'm like, what are you giving me for free? Anything you're giving me for free, then
vac-
I'm the
It's a
Well, it's just
vaccine.
like the COVID one, like they were paying the Cherokee kids $250 to get it.
That's the beginning of the
They're paying them.
The zombie apocalypse. The anti-cancer vaccine. That's how it all began.
honestly,
Yeah.
the zombies are the only part of this
Zombie.
whole tale we haven't kind of, but I guess there are zombies like in a lot of big cities around the country, like fentanyl
I was
and
gonna say
like all
fentanyl
the other
zombies, yeah.
drugs have really turned people into this like whole different thing. And then if you look at some of the crying blue-haired people, they're a whole different kind of like, they really think their world's going to end. Like, I don't know. There's
lot
a
of
whole
people.
bunch of different realms of people going on in the same realm right now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, man. A lot of people are like, anyone feel this sense of doom? And I'm like, no, I don't. Why do you guys feel like the
I'm
world is gonna
excited.
fucking end? Why even think like that? Because you're scrolling on a mass binge, like a fucking conspiracy that the world black pillars and
I think the crazier it gets, the more entertaining it is. Am I
Yeah,
wrong?
it's like laughable.
No, it's just like this is so ridiculous. Literally, this time every year, right before Christmas, the government tells us they're about to shut down and they're not going to be able to afford. All the old people get scared as fuck because they think they're not, like, because they really do get hit right in their Medicare and Medicaid and all their BS and all their Social Security. That as much as it's socialism, they paid into it. The tax fucking man raped them their whole fucking life. They should be able to get their cut. I'm like, anytime anyone can take advantage of the fucking tax man, they are owed that thing. Do you know how much we're all raped all the time by the tax fucking man? I'm like, it's the least of our things, the amount of money we give to old people, but they all get scared. Then all the
I won't.
military comes in and they're like, oh my gosh, we're not going to get our military pension because the governments are going to shut down. And they always do it. They put all this fucking bullshit in every state and every senator and or congressperson, they all throw in their fucking bullshit. And in the middle of the night, they pass this thing while we're all looking up at drones.
Mm-hmm.
What are these drones all about? And in the middle of the night, they freaking always Patriot Act us. In the middle of the night, they all show up at Washington one last time and go to eat
Well, they're all
their
sniffing
Christmas
cocaine.
meals, but everybody else is like, what's happening? Why is the market sinking?
Having
Oh, because
orgies.
all of these people with their slimy deals and everything they made that they're like, don't worry, boys, we're going to be in power here a lot longer, paying all these lobbyists out forever. Ba, 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 ba. Uh-oh, all those deals. You mean all that Ukrainian money, all that money sent that we also know Joe Biden's son all got paid out in Ukrainian money. We all know about Ukrainian one with Hillary. Like there's all these things that it's not because everybody doesn't know and hasn't been talking about it for fucking years. Well, most people don't know. They're like, nothing ever happens. And it's like, I feel like everything just happens. We've never won before. We don't even know what it looks like to watch them be scared. And so if they own the whole media, they own 4 fucking things, own all the media we see, all the papers, all the news, all the everything. If they own all the media and they own all the have 99% of the wealth and they have 30 days to do it, oh, it's gonna get good.
You know what also is another psyop? Executions and killing, bad guys. Like they stopped doing that. And certain states are still doing it, maybe a handful. But like if they kept that fucking death penalty up for like crimes, killing, raping, blah 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 blah, and just keep the fucking death penalty, I think we'd see a different world. But that's a psyop on its own. Like that's another way for them to make money, for them to get away with shit because we'll be fine. I could just get locked up, but I could live. At least I'm alive.
But then the prison industrial complex is fucking bullshit. These prisoners get paid a 10 cents a day to do all this fucking work that we're paying tax dollars on, but we don't pay 10
Yeah.
cents for the tax. But the prison industrial complex gets all this fucking money for free labor. They were
Yep.
like kind of like Mormons with kids. They get all this money for free labor and we're paying all this tax dollars, but it's really Wackenhut that's making all this fucking money. And
Mhm.
the same as the military industrial complex. Guess what else the prison industrial complex does? Take all the masculine men out of our society. It fucking rapes us of those fucking men because anyone that would stand up and be like, I don't give a shit what the government says, because most of the people that are in there are selling fucking drugs.
Thieves cut their hands off. Liars cut their tongues off. Rapists cut their dicks off. What the fuck?
Dude, speaking of taxes though, so we got a pretty good
I almost called
Christmas
this show
bonus.
Death and Taxes, and I was like,
Oh
not
my
at
gosh.
Christmas.
I
Not at Christmas.
but we got a pretty really good sized Christmas bonus, right? I paid over half of it to taxes.
I'm learning. I messed up. I won't do this again. But this huge campaign that I ran with Donut, right? It ended like a week ago. They're not going to cut the check until the 27th. And all that is going to get taxed, and there's not enough time for me to spend it all and get all the deductions out of that. So government's
Oh my
taking like a
gosh.
huge fucking chunk out of that too. Which
Well,
it's wild how that
you
works.
don't have to, you have to post date everything with your LLC or predate it because you guys have been working on advertising for all the time beforehand. So everything, all your packaging material, all your advertise, every hour you spend, even that 24 hours, that's all a loss. You have to pay yourself first in this business. So whatever you decide your hourly is, and then you're subcontracting donut off of it, that's a loss. And then part of your fucking room in your house, your rent, that's a loss. Part of
Right,
your
but
gas
if
to drive to
if
Bohemian Grove.
if we write that off, then that income gets taxed. If Donut gets, you know, an income basically, then that is also a 1099K. So that also gets taxed. So like no matter what, you still have to have the deduction in that fiscal year. This is gonna get into like boring tax
I
thing.
know.
It's just like how the game is so set up to rig to take every advantage when it benefits the state and to not give any advantage when it benefits the individual. It's just how it's always going to work, I think.
But you can take a loss sometimes, especially with new businesses and for the first 2 years. What I will say is the taxes suck in every fucking way, shape, or form. I have owed taxes because of small businesses in life. Like one thing makes me so furious. Like if you have to pay the tax man more than an actual working employee that you would give raises to fuck to if you could afford to give raises, but instead you just have to kiss away this money. And that's not all the other like shufflings and shit that you're like up to with a small fucking business. So I've had to pay the tax man. This is shit that I've been dealing with since like 2023. I've paid the tax man. Now for the last few years, I've been owed from the tax man. But the tax man says I didn't pay the tax man on time. But I have all the records that I paid the tax man on time and all the things. And they're like, nope, the tax day ended on this day. My accountant's like, no, not that year. Do they have a calendar in front of them? They got to be looking at the same calendar. It wasn't that day that year. Do they know it's not the same day every year? Like, and so all this fucking bullshit. And so now I'm owed money from the IRS for the last 2 years that I just refuse to file because I don't want them taking this money they say I owe them. So I have to send them certified letters. Like I feel like Scientology chasing down the IRS. Like somebody answer me. Like I know somebody at your office accepted this because I sent it certified mail. So somebody would have to sign for it. Oh, it's so annoying. So yeah, if you have every way that you can claim the most amount of things at the beginning of the thing, keep your fucking money for you. The more you can subcontract, the more you can LLC, the more you can do these kind of corps and things. This is what the man's doing. You got to hide everything in the thing. There's certain loopholes like, oh, we're always told buy the car, bad investment, lease the car sometimes, lease the car and your business can write it off as a loss. It's like so many fucking crazy things that you don't even, it's like 1 year for real at the end of the year. I always thought my dad was so crazy this year. My father had a propane company for a period of time. And 1 year in Christmas, he went and bought all 4 of his dudes' new trucks and bought a new bulk truck. And I was like, what the fuck? It was the same reason. It was the same, like, I don't know how I'm going to spend this amount of money for this amount of thing to take a loss. I got to go buy a trailer.
Yeah,
Do it on your credit
I've got
card.
plans,
You know?
but it's wild that it's even that kind of predicament. And it's like I could post all the stuff, but the real issue is that I didn't spend enough money this year, and because I didn't spend enough, there's nothing there to offset everything. Like I was being very frugal this year because I've just been
And then you had a
doing
boom at
comics
the
full
end of the
time.
year. You have a boom.
Right, yeah, and that was a mistake. It's a mistake to earn a bunch of money at the end of the year. That's the lesson here.
Huh. And that's why they want all of our businesses and stuff for small businesses, and they run it all Black Friday and Small Business Thursday and Digital Wednesday and whatever fucking thing. They run all these spells because they push us into the plus mark right at the end of the year. So we're all into the new tax brackets and have to eat it, even though we've been just struggling city bus. Like, oh, what a crazy Lucian. Dionysus. Gotta love it. Her, him, them, they.
It,
I know.
whatever the fuck.
Well, do we have anything else we want to talk about before we hop on our brooms and fly out of here?
No, probably do, but like, you know, when your brain just
Chat
doesn't
if we're
brain.
missing anything. Yeah, if your brain's
Do
not
you guys know
braining.
of anything that we should be talking about?
I think we've solved all the problems of the world finally.
Yes, we
We
did.
have.
Actually.
I think so.
This was a good episode. You should watch it if you haven't already.
If you made it to here and
If you
haven't
made it to the
already,
end and you haven't watched it, go back and watch it.
If you
Time
just tuned
travel.
in during the end of our show,
But we love you guys.
we do.
For the 200 people that showed up this episode that are on Rumble and X and
200?
YouTube. We love you and appreciate you. We'll be back on Sunday on every channel that you see us now with the Secret Society of Good Guys Girl Edition. And Thomas, what do you have going on this week?
I'm
You always have 1,000.
transitioning so that I can start joining on Sundays, although it's going to be a very slow transitioning process.
You can't join on Sundays. We're planning for Wednesdays for that.
Okay.
Because Sundays
is actually going to document my entire gender transition process from start to finish.
but we are gonna hang out on this Sunday, with people you should definitely check out. We're gonna have some ladies come in on Sunday nights that can afford less sleep time, because we don't run as late on that night. So we will have guests in there, and then we are planning it. Thomas has been doing some stuff. I have been doing some stuff, and we're gonna have Wednesday. I know we keep talking about this, but you guys, there's been houses sold, houses bought, businesses like Thomas and Donut didn't plan on selling their goal in 5 minutes and then hitting, I don't even know the number, if you even want to say it. What was your final?
It came out to 62,000 raised for all that.
Period.
Nice.
In how many days?
In 30 days. Yeah.
Rap.
And it was like 12 grand raised on day one and 14 grand raised on the last day.
Wow.
And that is like you guys. And everybody always is, how do you take down like Babylon and Hollywood and all this? You educate everybody, and not everybody's going to get the same education for Manly P. Hall shit, or for esoteric stuff, or even reading the Bible. Some people want comics. Some people need to get it through movies. Some people need zines. Some people need songs. So, I think it's pretty rad. Like, community supported things is how you break apart from the man. And
Well, I'm
you don't
excited.
have to
There's going to be over 5,000 of these things out in the wild on like every corner of the planet.
Nice.
It's a whole army. Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah,
Love it.
it's pretty awesome. So
They
shout
should
out to
make it a
Donut.
crypto thing. Y'all should think about it. You're mad talented. You can fucking do it.
Anyways, we love you guys so much. Thank you guys all for checking in. Make sure you follow everyone on this stage, and we will see you before Christmas. But just in case we don't, have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and whatever other thing you're celebrating, Hanukkah, whatever thing during the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bacchanalia, Dionysus. If you're spinning in circles like Britney Spears celebrating Dionysus, why not? So thank you guys all for hanging out with the good guys, and we will see you very soon. Make sure you turn it down, and I'm going to fix Juliette Lewis so she doesn't scream so loud she wakes up your kids. Okay, XOXO Gossip Girl. Bye-bye.
Can you save us, Britney Spears? Can we be saved? God, why is Satan controlling the universe?
Here comes Santa. Here comes the world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing who our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, entertaining cunnilinguist good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, Jamaicans, it's okay to change your thinking. Good guys, good guys, good guys, good guys. The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing who our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, entertaining cunnilinguist good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, Jamaicans, it's okay to change your thinking. Good guys, good guys, good guys, good guys.
over.